Hi, hello, 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 and hi, and hello, and hello, and hi to everyone watching. Hello, and hi, and welcome to the stream, and hello, and also hi, and hello to Middle-earth Marxist. Look, Winston lost his phone. Welcome to the stream. Vordrella, Shirara, and Beanie Gaby. Welcome everybody in, and the people lurking. Say hello, tell me how your week's been. It's nice to have you all here. I've been having such a nightmare. I've had such a shit day. I am going to just bitch for the first half an hour of this stream, having already been like an hour late to going live at all, and then kept everyone waiting for 20 minutes. I'm now going to just bitch about my day for the rest of the entire stream. Please pay me to bitch about my day. Thank you. I had to have a very important medical call this morning. It was at 9 a.m. That was the time that they offered me. I barely slept because I was very nervous about my very, very important medical call. As very important medical calls for transgender women tend to be, it came with a bunch more bad news and loopholes and annoying bullshit. I waited around for a work meeting for several hours. It didn't happen. I had a little cry when I did the dishes. I've been having such a shit day. I logged on to go live. It was 7:30, and Streamlabs said, "We can't find any of your scenes. They just don't exist." I'm so upset. I'm genuinely I'm having such a shit time. Oh my god. I've had to remake all of the scenes from scratch. It's been a hell of a time. There aren't any transitions, so if you see this, right, it's just clicking across now. Everything's all wrong. If you look at that, that's all wrong. That's the wrong size. That should be a text thing. Maybe I'll put this one actually under the video. There should be a text thing that says about the dono goals and how important dono goals are or whatever. There's none of that. It's shite. Welcome to the shite stream. No, it's fine. It will be fine. It's just a bit late. Thank you everyone for your patience. I really appreciate that. We are doing a stream about everything completely falling apart, and I got the wrong necklace on as well. That's another one. That's another one. I'm genuinely. I'm gonna fucking snap. I'm gonna throw the best goddamn talent show this town has ever seen. Okay. We got some liberal slop to look at. We got some also non-liberal slop, which is to say some stuff that's non-liberal and non-slop, some stuff that's liberal but not just slop. It's sound analysis, but it's still interesting and it's worth looking at and worth discussing the media environment and various forces going on in its writing and publishing and the stuff going on in the world. And I I've been enjoying trying to group things by theme, but I think I've fallen for the same trap as Ezra Klein, essentially. That I too want to just be curiously exploring my interests in peacetime, because who doesn't want that, Ezra? That's what everybody wants. And I want to just be able to go like, yeah, this week's liberal slop stream is about the fashion industry, and we're just gonna have fashion takes or whatever. And that's not the slop that's coming out. It does respond to current events, and so if I want to go, here's geopolitics, here's the Iran war, and then move on to other stuff, I would simply have to be in another timeline. So, once again, we're just broadly kind of doing the poly crisis. We're just doing everything's fucking falling apart. Owen Jones has got a new book out. I'll probably be getting it. It's called something like The Fall of the West. Audio gone far left. Oh my god. As if there couldn't be. Just when I thought everything that could go wrong had already gone wrong. Alright. We can figure this out together, chat. I believe in us. And by us I mean I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Okay. Based audio. Okay, what can I do about this? What can I do about this? That just turned me off. That's no good. That's not the one. That's even worse. Okay. I could try a filter on the audio. I could try... Nope, none of the filters do that stuff. Do the thing I want it to do. Oh, chat, it's a bit too much. Genuinely, I'm having a bit of a time with this. Thank you for telling me about the one-sided audio. I'm really wound up. This feels Oh, I found the button. It says down mix to mono. Hopefully now it's back to normal. Oh my god. Well, that was an adventure. Okay. Fucking hell. Guys, I'm having such a... I'm just like, this is genuinely... We may as well just jump straight in, to be honest, because, like... I don't know. Before we give it any more time to go wrong, before we give the stream any more chances to malfunction. Okay. It's the last stream of March. I don't think we're going to hit 600 quid today. I don't think we were going to if we started on time. But please bear in mind to donate, because I do this for a living. And as you can tell, I'm really good at it. I'm a professional. If everything wasn't heartrending enough, let me tell you a tragic story. So I'm wearing my favorite trackies right now, these light pink trackies. They're really comfy, they got cuffed ankles, they look very cute, my ass looks great in them. And I had some friends over for pizza the other day. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Clear eyes, full hearts, both feet. Thank you for that. My alert box is in the wrong corner, isn't it? Oh Christ, that disappeared behind the chat, but it was actually... That was very sweet. Thank you for the £5, and I've now moved the alert box over here instead. So if anyone wants to test that by donating, then you'll see that I've moved it, and you'll see that I've done the hard work of clicking and dragging my mouse. What was I talking about? Wearing my favorite trackies, and I got pizza sauce like right on them, and I'm gonna sit like close enough that you can't... I'm not gonna give you the chance to spot the stain, but I watched them like so many times. So this is my sob story for why you should donate this week. A concrete material good that I need to buy. New light pink trackies to look cute in. Both sides have audio now, but there's still background noise. Oh dear. Well, how bad is it? I can't stop and listen to it now. I think I'm just going to have to press on unless... Chat, can you give me a general takes on how the audio is sounding now? Because if it's really, really bad, I should probably just, like... I should probably intervene. If not, I really want to press on. Okay. Speaking of pressing on, if we are ready to go, I'm going to get into the liberal slop stream. I'll make that a little bit bigger on that screen, like that's good. Yep, like that. Chat's generally happy. I'm going to press ahead. Thank you for all the feedback. Right, so, fuck me. It's going to be a shorter one today. Welcome in, chat. It's lovely to have you all here. Welcome to the VOD viewers. It's lovely to have you here. I'm sorry that this stream will probably not stretch to fill the full, like, deviant art illustration or chores or ironing or walk around the neighborhood or whatever that VOD viewers love to do when they're listening to or watching the VODs, because it'll be shorter because of all the technical issues, as you've heard from the first, like 15 minutes of me just bitching about stuff. There's a background hiss. Okay, understood. Well, I'm going to move this a little bit closer so that I'm hopefully coming through just like as clear as possible. And yes, starting next stream, I will try and have that sorted. In April, speaking of next stream, in April, we've unlocked, 2 bonus streams. So we're going to have 2 Resident Evil 9 streams next month. Middle-earth Marxist, thank you so much for the £2 donation. I'm getting 2 notifications for everything. Everything's fucked. Everything's fucked, guys. Thank you so much for the £2. Slop Labs loyalties will be remembered. Thank you so much, Middle-earth Marxist. We've got 2 bonus streams, so we'll be having some Resi 9 gaming streams next month, and if we hit the goal today, as unlikely as that is, we will have 3 of them and be able to do regular stuff. So I'm going to be streaming a lot next month, actually. It's already up to 6 streams with the regular liberal slop ones, plus 2 bonus ones. So, you'll be absolutely sick of me. Okay, let's get into the main event. Thank you all so much for being here. Before I actually read any articles today, I wanted to just show you this cover. This is just the New Statesman's. Cover today, and I just thought it's like immediately an absolutely like Hall of Fame New Statesman cover, because like most of their covers, it just sucks complete shit. Like it's just so bad looking and just like stupid. Just like, oh, what is it? It's April, I guess, and Trump. There's Trump. We're all upset about Trump. So it's like he's eating the world, and it's also like a bit of a diss on him because it looks like he's eating shit. So like, you know, we got him. Like, ooh, got him. That was just a just the incredible like intellectual lofty heights of these publications. I just loved this. It was just like oh. Will I actually stream next week? Hang on. I've just realized something, chat. There is another event. I was going to a thing a few weeks ago. You'll remember I missed one of the streams. I missed one of the streams this month because I was hosting a film screening. And the next one isn't me hosting it, but I should be there. Maybe next week I'll do this on Saturday. So this week I'm late by an hour. Next week I'm going to be late by a day. I'll do the regular stream on Saturday next week, and then I'll do bonus streams from the week after that. Okay, that's the plan. That's what I'm gonna do. Thank you for bearing with me. Yeah, I just love that cover. Princess Back Knight 666, welcome to the stream. Why does the chocolate look like a Kinder Egg? They can't have those there. Oh yeah, they can't. I forgot about that. That's crazy. Yeah, well, I mean, for one, it's the New Statesman is a particularly British, a very particularly UK and even particularly London magazine, because it really exists as like the magazine of record of the Labour right. Prince Infidel, thank you so much for subscribing. How is it another month already? Slow down time. Yeah, I said at the start of March I was like, we're in for a long March. I was making Mao jokes, but like as it's turned out, it's just like absolutely flown by. Also, chat, I feel the need to say, after being so negative at the start, like, things are actually broadly going fairly well. I'm in a generally quite good mood, despite having had a very intense day today. Just like things overall are going really, really well. I've been doing a lot of like, I'm going back and forth of whether actually starting the content properly or not. I'm being such a nightmare. I'm doing some like conflict resolution with people that I have like hanging, like floating conflicts with, and it just feels really good. Like I've had some like really positive stuff in organizing that I've been doing recently in terms of like building community and like having dependable spaces and stuff I'm taking part in, and like helping to progress organizations in directions that I like think are, you know, broadly positive. And yeah, I've just had a couple of like chats with people that have been like a long time coming, and it feels good as fuck. And I just this is something that, you know, I talk about generally a little bit. It's something that I post fairly often about, just like the need for like our communities to learn basic conflict resolution skills. And I was definitely talking about it last time on the stream, which actually we usually do comments. I was going to skip this time, but there's only one comment that I did want to check out, which I'll actually bring up because I don't want to like not credit anyone, and I also don't want to try and remember someone's comment off the top of my head and get it horrifically wrong. Pardon me. Oh my goodness, Shirara, thank you so much. Shirara, thank you so much for the £22 donation. New Trackies Fund, I really appreciate that. I genuinely like this is like I'm being like such a princess about this right now, but like I really love these, and like I'm because of the stain, I'm on the edge of like, these are no longer outdoor, these are effectively like pajamas now, and that's devastating because, you know, I as probably anyone who regularly follows my stuff knows, the all sportswear look is life to me. So there's lots of generally good comments actually, but I was going to skip over the section to get to the slop. Yes, it was willow treason. So let's go have a look at this comment quickly. Trump 2028 MAGA Forever 28 is now following. Let's just make sure we get that right. So that's going to be a /ban. What was it spelled? Trump 2028 MAGA Forever 28. And they spell that okay? Mm-hmm. Like, why follow as well, you know? You just give me, like, a free warning. Unless it's just to make it, like, appear on the stream, and that's the only the only goal there, I guess. But like, I don't really. It's whatever, man. Oh my god. Okay, well now I've lost stream chat within Streamlabs, so so it continues to go absolutely incredibly for me in every way. Let's go look at this comment. Willow Treason said about the discussions we were having about like conflict resolution, and in particular a part where we were discussing like how you will feel if you respond maximally like punitively and like you can just like throw people away in any kind of conflict you're in. And I was saying about like how will you feel a year from now? How will you feel in 10 years about stuff? It's much better to like move through stuff even though it's hard. And this is a really good point. Necessary disclaimer, coming to this understanding took a long time. Adopting this perspective and these behaviors is not reasonable for you to demand from a recently traumatized person. I do not speak for every hurt person in the world. This is necessarily a case-by-case type of thing. It is such an excellent point. I still have shared interests with people who have done serious damage to me. We necessarily exist in the same spaces to survive and to organize. Well, this is a more distant and more carefully negotiated relationship than me and person I dislike. I feel very similarly. And again, the context of this, we were discussing how how being in community with someone can mean like you literally just don't see each other at all. It can be that like you don't like the person, you don't vibe with them, you don't hang out, and you're like actively avoiding each other, but you're in community, and that being in community means more than just being friends. Yeah, and I just wanted to like highlight that one because I thought that was really important to add to the discussion we've been having before, and then it was also appropriate in the week I've been having, which again broadly good except today, because like yeah, I've been working through stuff and like having, I think a really important thing is like getting to a place where you feel like I'm going to go into this thing. I recognize the benefits of moving through conflict with people and like improving my relationships and my overall like at peaceness with the world. But I'm not doing this hoping that on the other side of this we will be best friends or whatever. I'm not doing this hoping that like what our relationship to each other was previously is going to be exactly what it was. I'm just going through it knowing that like the current state of it, something's wrong with that, and I want to specifically address that if I can. I want to give it its best shot to like overcome it, and at the end of it you'd be like, yeah, that person's fucking annoying, or you might be like I fucking hate their guts still, but I'm glad we talked that specific thing out or whatever, you know. And the overall result of it is it rocks. So like that's the end of my incredibly rambly story. Wow, this stream is a mess in every conceivable way. I'm going to go into reading some articles in order to save myself from my own rambliness at this point. I need the AP News thing though. And there it is. Cool. So, back to my new live screen. I don't even have the little like rainbow border around that I usually have. It's just like everything about this. I feel just like bullied by my own technical setup in this. Vordrella says, just a random thought I have, but I wonder how much of our community behaviors are just leftovers from school. Well, like, okay. Now I've clicked off the live screen again. Fuck's sake. Like, when we talk about neurotypical, we are talking about a set of behaviors that are very literally taught to us, like they are encouraged and policed and nurtured by adults around us, but also kind of like constructed out of an undercurrent of like social consensus among teenagers and then young adults. And like there is a general mean average normal in society, and people who aren't as good at it are like perceived as weird and made into like social outsiders. And I think that like, and obviously like that's not all of what's going on, but it's just like it's very worth pointing out that like a ton of people who are quite successful in the world and earn good money and have that like agency in the world of being like comfortable or successful or whatever are successfully performing the social rules that they learned from high school. Like, yeah. I think it is quite a significant thing. But I don't think that's all of it. I don't think that's all of it at all. I think that a ton of it is like people. Kai Chung Tom has probably some of the best writing about it, which is like she writes it as being about in the queer community. I think it's queer and leftist communities, but also just like a lot of people, because of the intense alienation of neoliberalism and because of the like very cruel, very minimizing, very like traumatic and also gaslighting world that we live in. Like people are really deeply not used to having their concerns taken seriously, and people who like genuinely mean well can weaponize their earnest feelings of concern, of hurt, of upset, of all sorts of things, when they're just like overstepping that worry of like, I'm going to be completely ignored in this. It needs to therefore be the loudest thing possible. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of different stuff going on in like the ways that people are lacking in conflict resolution skills. And also that's the other one, is just generally lacking in conflict resolution skills, because the other thing about being like taught a norm, like a normative script of how social interaction should work, is that like it works like this, and when it doesn't work like this, I just can't look at it. And so like a lot of like radical social exclusion and ostracism, like completely yes, Vord, yes, one sec. A lot of like extreme ostracism that happens to people, like the bulk of it happens in people who like do see that they're a person and that like they deserve better than the situation that's how it's unfolding, but just don't really know how to go about it. And in lieu of like having a clear way to do that, like they think, often accurately, they will face some amount of like pushback socially or social loss or ostracism too for trying to do it. A term for this, the ceiling of our environment and how it shapes us. This is one of my terms. I say this is firmamental human tendency. So human beings growing like plants can be confined and shaped into the container they grow into. And I don't believe in fundamental human nature, that there's something like deep down that's an essence that's where we like is kind of deterministically like hard coded into it. It's our DNA or whatever. I think that like people have tendencies very often dictated by their environments. Like you can't build a perfect model of human behavior, but you can more easily build a model of how human beings behave within some metrics in a limited environment. So for example, traffic is a thing you could probably, like road traffic is a thing you can fairly well like model, still not perfectly, right? But like you can still model it like to a certain degree, because like the things someone can do in a car versus the total number of things a person just can do in the world are much smaller. And yeah, that's like a ceiling on what can possibly be done. And the biggest ceilings and confinements that we experience in our behaviors are ideological ones. The rambliest stream I have ever done. It's going really well. This one's gonna be, so like, I don't know if you'll know this, but YouTube gives you like out of the last 10 videos you've released, how well viewed is this out of 10? This is gonna be number 10. This is this one on the VOD thing. Like, this is such ass. Like, I'll genuinely be really surprised if VOD viewers are watching at this point. Let's please start you know what? I should make coffee. No. We should start the stream properly. Anyway, I've been resolving conflicts. It feels good as fuck. I'm sure that we will talk more about conflict resolution on the stream in general. It's an ongoing topic. It's very important. It's one of the things massively missing from the left, or just like our society in general. We don't have our conflict resolution skills anywhere near where we need to have them, and it's causing us a hell of a lot of problems. Yeah. Okay. Final thought. One of the people I talked to this week said that on the left, no, he said on the right, right-wingers are cruel all the time, and so they have a constant outlet for being cruel, and left-wingers basically don't have an outlet most of the time for being cruel, and so like when we come into conflict with each other, like absolutely all of it pours out. Generally, I tend to be like, I try and approach things in a trauma-informed way, and so like, you know, in terms of being cruel, I've had this thought before, but how I would articulate it is like, in basically like people trying to get some kind of like retribution for all the trauma they've suffered, and it's just like any conflict that you come into with the people who are within your reach and you can like get your hooks into, you just like make them suffer for basically everything that you've ever felt shit about, and it's a horrible pattern we're all stuck in. Now I'm actually done. Let's actually do the thing. Here's this terrible New Statesman cover of Trump. We're talking about the poly crisis. We're talking about everything falling apart. We're talking about everything being extremely shit. Let's start with some context. We're going to look at this AP article. This is not liberal slop. It's just a thing I saw that I thought was like worth us giving a read, because fucking hell. Because just basically because fucking hell with all this going on. Iran war's environmental toll could leave damage and health risks for decades, experts say. Oil depots spewing black smoke, debris sinking in the Persian Gulf, missiles pounding military sites. The Iran war has unleashed a toxic mix of chemicals, heavy metals, and other pollutants that threaten everything from agriculture to drinking water to people's health, and will leave behind environmental damage and health risks that could persist for decades, experts said. All the burning of oil and gas fields in the coastal areas, all the ships that are there, the oil tankers that are being burned or sunk, all of these mean pollution, said Kaveh Madani, an Iranian scientist and director of the United Nations University Institute for Water, Environment and Health. For someone like me who has fought for sustainability and protection of the environment in that region, this is like going many years backwards. Documenting the damage has proved daunting, with a full accounting impossible for now, said Doug Weir, director of the Conflict and Environment Observatory, a UK-based non-profit that monitors environmental harms from armed conflicts. Okay. From armed conflicts. The group uses remote satellite sensing and open source intelligence to identify damage and score environmental risks to people, ecosystems, and agricultural land. So far, it has recorded more than 400 environmentally concerning incidents related to the war, though much is still unknown due to delays in satellite imagery and internet blackout in Iran, Weir said. Attacks on oil and gas-related sites create some of the worst environmental risks because of impacts to air quality and soil and water pollution, as well as health threats to people. Harder to quantify risks from bombed military sites, some of which are deeply buried and some near populated areas, adding to huge uncertainties around potential impacts, Weir said. Air pollution unleashed could lead to many health problems. Okay, we're back. We're so back. I can see all the little shapes on the screen make sense now. Perhaps the most enduring images of the war are of darkened skies from oil infrastructure set ablaze by airstrikes, including 2 weeks ago when black rain fell near Tehran, Iran's capital. Soot, ash, and toxic chemicals from strikes on fuel depots and a refinery combined with water droplets in the atmosphere and fell back to the earth as an oily, acidic rain that prompted warnings to stay indoors. Microscopic soot raises risks of lung and heart problems, while toxic chemicals pose long-term cancer risks, and heavy metals from the fallout could contaminate soil and water supplies, experts said. Debris and contamination from missiles, as well as potential strikes on manufacturing facilities and other infrastructure, also could unleash harmful pollution throughout the region, experts said. This is... They could really do with it just a quick reformatting, because they did this twice now. They had "we're said" at the end of 2 paragraphs, and then "experts said" here and here. If you hit an ammonia-producing plant for fertilizer or food production, those release chemicals that are absolutely toxic and harmful if they spread, said Mohammed Mahmoud, head of Middle East Climate and Water Policy with the United Nations University Institute of Water, Environment and Health, and founder of the Climate and Water Initiative. Intensive fossil fuel emissions are also are spiking levels of greenhouse gases that cause climate change, experts said. I'm so sick of saying experts said, oh my god. I'm going to try and just skip it wherever I see it now. The carbon accounting platform Greenly estimated that the US military alone released almost 2 billion metric tons of greenhouse gases in just the first 6 days of the war, meaning the actual amount generated by the fighting is certainly much higher when accounting for Israeli and Iranian emissions and damage to infrastructure. It's worth saying that the pollution from, like, knocking down buildings is non-zero. Like, it's a significant thing, actually. That is a significant amount in such a short time. As in an entire year, around 50 billion metric tons of greenhouse gases are released around the entire world, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So that's 2 billion by just the US military in the first 6 days of the war. And it's usually 50 billion metric tons in one whole year. Global oil shortages are also causing some countries to resume or increase their use of coal, which creates more air pollution that hurts people and more greenhouse gas emissions. Continued access to clean water is a big concern. Countries in the arid Persian Gulf region rely on hundreds of desalination plants for drinking water, raising health and security risks if plants are damaged or water is polluted, experts say. Fuck, I said it again. They got me. Iran has said a US airstrike damaged one of its desalination plants, while neighboring Bahrain accused Iran of damaging one of its plants. Experts fear more could be targeted the longer the war goes on. People in the region, quote, struggle with having access to clean drinking water even at peacetime, said Madani. Any damage to water infrastructure can have long-lasting impacts. Where worries that pollution, including oil from sunken ships and from other sources, could clog desalination plants, or they could be knocked offline by attacks on power plants. Experts say that pollution could damage fisheries and important ecosystems. Though some contaminants will be dispersed and diluted by water that moves through the Gulf, heavy metals and toxic chemicals could still settle in sediment. It's an enclosed basin, quite shallow, Weir said. There are sensitive habitats there, coral reefs, seagrass meadows, sensitive species which could be impacted. Nuclear risks are largely unknown. The UN nuclear watchdog has not had access to Iranian nuclear sites, including facilities targeted in June by the United States and Israel, meaning their status is largely unknown. Possible attacks on large and small nuclear sites throughout the region is, quote, another thing to worry about because of immediate and long-term health and environmental impacts, said Madani. Exposure can cause skin damage and radiation sickness, while long-term risks include cancer, heart disease, and genetic damage. US and Israeli officials have said one of the war's aims is to destroy Iran's ability to produce nuclear weapons. Wadrella says, sounds like a lot of damage and pollution and people's lives in danger. Is this the type of article meant to go, see, we talked about it, now we can ignore it? I'm not calling this slop. I genuinely, I just think this is important for us to look at. I've seen, I think the AP is broadly a very good outlet, and just, as a cooperative of journalists, they're obviously Western based and biased, but they broadly have, I think, very good standards, and this, I think that just the story itself is very important. I obviously think about and write about climate politics quite a lot. I'm actually this week started playing a game that has a focus on climate that I'm really, really enjoying, and so I'm going to write a short piece about it for later in the year. But like, an important part of it was just like climate technologies and things that we will like earnestly have to do to clean up the damage that's being done to the environment at the moment. And with that going on, I was also thinking about Red Planet last week, and China sending Cuba enough solar panels to like power 10% of their electric grid. What's this? It's not a worry. Sorry, no, it's not a worry that they. It's not a worry. They're not expressing a worry in the article that Iran might have nukes. I think. I mean, this is what I mean is that so like. They've said that the US and Israel have said that they want to make sure that Iran can't produce nuclear weapons, but like, I guess it is missing from the article that like Iran has actually not shown an interest in producing nuclear weapons. But I think this is an example of like the discourse around Iran and nuclear weapons being so irritating and relentless that like any mention of it evokes the same discourses. The nuclear watchdog hasn't been able to get in there, but like they have inspected them very thoroughly before because they've been invited in by Iran to look at to inspect all of their stuff, and I think that like there is a very serious concern if they were, if these sites do get damaged, and I've seen like several times over now the reporting that the IAEA is like worried that the nuclear sites will get hit. What was I saying before? Yeah, I'm not reading this one because it's a liberal slop piece. I'm reading this one because like I think that before we look at some stuff that's to do with the economic shock from this important like oil bottleneck being like shut off as a tactic in the war by Iran, we need to appreciate that like there are these devastating effects going on to the climate at the same time as like, because I was quite hopeful that the natural response to the oil being shut off so dramatically, like having such a significant dip that also causes the price for loads of other oil to rise so much. You came here for liberal slut, but I tricked you. This is just normal news I think is worth reading. I said this is context, guys, please. Like, yes, I'm sorry if anyone feels tricked by this. This is just normal news I think is worth reading, but I will be getting to the liberal slut in a second. I think this is important context before talking about the Strait of Hormuz and global oil supply, because it's an issue of climate. Because I don't think that people are like seeing, like this particular part of it. I could have been reading it differently. I just think the specific information omitted, the nuclear watchdog has not had access since the war started, while a paragraph later allowing the US and Israeli claims to go uncontested seems like a choice. Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. Two Distraction says we're not used to normal, sorry. Where's normal gone nowadays? It's all impossible. I will say, back to your point, like, it is very fair that, like, they do say, they have, the US and Israeli have said they want to make sure Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons, and it would be real nice of them to clarify in the, like, when the sites have been inspected so far, there is actually no evidence of nuclear weapons. Always assume every chatter just tuned in 2 minutes ago. Welcome to the stream, Widow of Oz. I hope it's been a good 2 minutes that you've been here so far. Middle Earth Marxist says, all normal news is liberal slop. Well, look, I am very happy to, if I have, like, imparted to regular stream viewers and VOD stream chatters and VOD viewers to, like, have the liberal slop, the bib on, as B-Rat says here, being ready to see these patterns in how news media is discussed, because, like, yeah, like, it's not, bias is present in absolutely everything, and the most normative bias that we're used to pulls the most absolutely heinous shit, exactly because we're used to it. Yeah, I just, like, literally they could have just said there aren't actually any facilities, but it's just, like, such a deeply entrenched line in Western politics and media that Iran must be trying to get nukes, that they can't say, by the way, there's actually no evidence that they are trying to do that, which is, like, you know, it's a thing they've omitted here, a thing they've failed to do, so I'm not going to go too hard on them. And like I say, it's a lot better than a lot of outlets are doing, but, you know, it is still like a brick in the wall of the WMD's kind of scare. Alright, last little bit. After the war, as Iran and other countries rebuild, environmental damage could be a low priority, experts said. The focus will be on energy and water infrastructure, manufacturing plants and food production facilities, Mahmoud said. Pardon me. Some pollution, especially to the Gulf or other waterways, quote, I doubt will be addressed soon and is in some cases not at all. Weir said environmental damage isn't addressed properly after most conflict because it's expensive and, quote, humanitarian needs come first, even if environmental risks are high. In densely populated Tehran, for example, a huge number of strikes have hit not just oil infrastructure but also buildings and residential areas, generating harmful contamination from pulverized building materials. People are being exposed to dust and chemicals, which may continue for a long time after the war eventually ends and rebuilding begins. B-Rat says the US and Israel should pay reparations to fix all the environmental damage, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see that, like, reparations is a thing that that Iran has said that they want in this, because it's like, I think it really should be something that, if international law is to mean anything at all, like, it would be a really solid tiny first step if, when a couple of countries get together and, like, do an imperialist war of aggression and just, like, invade you and kill a bunch of your people and destroy a bunch of your infrastructure, kind of just because, as far as anyone can tell, they when they eventually give up and go home, they also have to pay, you know. It's just absolutely wild. Beck says, I genuinely treat the AP as a relatively reliable Western source, but of course that is the most important time to notice ideology. That's very true, and I think, like, it is... Hopefully I didn't come across too harsh. Like, I think that it's reasonable for that part to set off alarm bells, because it is always continually frustrating that, like, these, like, fascist lines get fed, get just, like, put out there, and then the media is entirely complicit in just, like, repeating them and not doing the extra step of saying, and no, that thing isn't true. Which I know in the age of Trump, like, there's a lot of untrue things being said all the time. But this is, yeah, like, this is part of the epistemic collapse that we've suffered in the last few years as well, right? Like, my favorite thing to my favorite structure to talk about, and I've talked about it a bunch of times. Hopefully, there'll be a lot of people here who already heard me talk about this a bunch of times. But like, my favorite thing to talk about with knowledge structure in the media and politics is authorized knowledge and stigmatized knowledge, because this is the model that is used for discussing conspiracy belief, and it's that authorized knowledge is verified by societal institutions that have like a common trust. So like the government says things, school curricula say things, the media says things, academia says things, say I guess the military, but that's also like part of the government when it comes to like conflict and foreign affairs. These are examples of authorized knowledge, and there are different examples where you can see why they might lie to you, right? Like, kids get taught simplistic versions of how the world works in schools. There's a kind of running joke in biology education that like when you're out of like basic high school level, they have to first teach you all the things that they were lying about, and then teach you the correct model, but then they have to do that again at the next level, you know, at university or whatever, because actually none of that was true, or a bunch of that was lies too, because it's actually just really complicated, and like you have to kind of hang up someone's like level of understanding somewhere relatively simplistic for them to be able to like go about applying it. Or what was the other one I said a second ago? The military. It's obvious why the military would lie, right? Like, if you are in a conflict, like we all can't trust the US or Israel, and we also can't trust Iran for statements on what's going on with how the war's going. We can look at the situation and what we, probably think is broadly true. So, like, the negotiations has been the big thing this week. If Trump is saying they're begging for a deal, and Iran said something like the US is just negotiating with itself, I don't think they are lying about that one. Like, that one seems like Iran's probably broadly telling the truth, and Trump's pretty obviously and stupidly lying. But there have been other times where, like, official Iranian statements on stuff are similarly just like, yeah, we're big and tough. We're winning because we're big and tough. Yeah. And that's authorized knowledge, and then stigmatized knowledge is stuff that is either hidden or explicitly like attempted to counter in the mainstream, and sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. I think that that boundary is the useful thing, though, and what we've gone through in the last few years is the complete collapse of that boundary, and like the warping of so many societal mainstream institutions around knowledge into places that peddle utter bullshit in a really naked way, but also like very specifically a way that promotes what was very stigmatized ideas, knowledge claims, and so on, just a few years ago. So like RFK being in charge of the what's he in charge of? Is he just like the Secretary of Health? Is he in charge of the FDA? That seems like such a nightmare. But that's a very good example, right? Where like academia still very strongly disagrees with him. Secretary of Swimming in Poop Water. Academia very strongly disagrees with him, and so like one societal institution obviously opposes the kind of conspiracy crank bullshit that he'll be saying, and I'm sure there's just like plenty of societal institutions that will be saying, hey, pasteurizing milk is actually good, and we've been doing it for a long time for a good reason, because you can get really, really sick if you don't. Nightmare country, ridiculous nightmare country. But it blows a hole in this structure of authorized knowledge, is what I'm saying, right? Because if the government itself, and the government also affects things like the media through the access model, right? If you report too unfavorably on what the White House is doing, the White House might revoke your press pass, and then you can't, you don't have access, and so you can't like report the stories that you would like to report as well as other people can, right? So it's like if if Trump completely revoked all access for journalists that are like to the left of Hitler, then only only neo-Nazi press would have access to be able to interview the president and report on what the president says. So if people want to know what the president is saying, they're going to have to read those publications. Or, at the very least, they're going to have to read the AP, who is citing the source of this neo-Nazi publication, published this interview with the president. Hey Morgan, welcome to the stream. Sundry Clown Car 295, welcome in. A few other people have joined since I started. Sharp Objects, Cherry Pitsbit. I think I said it with Cherry Pitsbit already. Yeah, and so like it is worth interrogating, and it was very well summed up by someone's message a bit ago. I can't remember who said it, but someone in chat said the AP treats the White House as a worthwhile informational source, and that I think is that's the issue, right? Like is that you could say that's because of the access model. You could say it's like that they have to report what it is that the US and Israel are saying about the war, but I think it's more this like institutionalized knowledge structure. Like they want to say, to be a legitimate journalistic outlet, they have to, report what the government is saying. Okay. We're going to read, now that we've read that context. Morgan the Fae, thank you so much for tipping £13 and 12 pence. Grumble, complain about boomer co-workers. You can complain about boomer co-workers if you want to. That's okay. I like asking how everyone's week has been. I feel like people rarely take me up on that. They're just so keen for the slop. But this is an opportune time for me to say, everybody, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I will take a brief aside now, because people who've missed the start of the stream, by the way, I was late by an hour because Streamlabs deleted all of my scenes, so I've had to completely reset up the stream from scratch. And now I'm going to take a little aside and just go add some text in, because I just realized that the text I usually have, which is talking about how the donos work, there it is, stream text GDI, right? It has also been deleted, so I need to add that in too. What do I want to say in this text? I want to say, I wonder if I can use Red Hat. Oh my goodness. Okay. I've had something exciting happen. I've got the Sophie from Mars font text. This is the font that I use in all my videos, Red Hat. I can actually have it on my stream now. That's kind of nice. Okay. Stream goal. Stream donor goal. That's a stupid way to say it. Donor goal this stream. And To Distraction, thank you so much for donating £25. Holy shit, I really appreciate that a lot. It's also making my job of adding up these a little bit more difficult right this second, but I'm not complaining. Thank you so much. Underscore tipped £5. Middle of Muxus tipped £2. Shirara tipped £22. Morrigan the Fae tipped £13 and 12 pence, which would take us to £42 and 12 pence, and then 2 Distraction tipped £25, so that would be about £65 so far. Wow, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate that. I was being a bit like princessy sorry for myself about like, please pay me because I'm having a terrible day, but I really appreciate that, and like it's definitely helping me to have a better day. Dono goal this stream, so that was about £65 ago, so it was about 330. And if we're going up 150, because the 150 is the usual dono goal, then that would be 480. So we're trying to hit 480, and we're doing really well. really, really well. And if everybody watching right now tipped £2 only, just £2 using command tip, then we could hit the donor goal immediately. I've forgotten how this... No, line break works completely normal now, apparently. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. There was definitely an older version of Streamlabs where it was complete shit and didn't work properly at all. So command tip. Donor goal this stream, 480. To unlock bonus game stream. There we go. Wow. I'm so efficient with my words. I've saved the stream so much money by character limiting this message. Okay, and then we're gonna add it into the live screen. But the live screen is wow. It doesn't look so good on here. We'll move the dono goal over as well. Okay, that feels a lot better. Thank you so much, everyone. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. I do this for a living. Even though I've been such an utter shit show at it today, I am actually a professional. It would be nice to get paid for the work that I do. So please, if you're enjoying the stream, consider subscribing or cheering or donating directly, just like the wonderful and sexy Million Peaches, who just donated £10 with the message, even more cute track pants. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes, consider supporting the stream. We are now going to read another article. We are going to read an article that is currently called How to Resolve the Bottleneck of the Strait of Hormuz, but was originally called, it's it's archive.is time, was originally called Iran has a chokehold on the world's oil. Here's how to break it. So, chat, now we are in Slop territory. Now we have entered the Slop world. I'm clearly signaling to you that now we're engaging with some slop. So that we're not confused about this. This one, like, oh boy. I think it's actually interesting that like, in reading the article for context about like environmental damage, we had this discussion about what's slop and what's not, because I think this moment we're in right now of like really coming face to face with the collapse that's about to really set in the West, like, we're going to see a ton of liberals doing good analysis in a way that still skirts the obvious conclusion and refuses to acknowledge class and doesn't like lay the blame with liberal politicians or the ruling class or point out the need for socialism. Maybe they'll start pointing out, when they start pointing out the need for socialism, we know that like truly and utterly the ruling class is cooked. Like when the lib slop people like start saying like, oh actually like no, genuinely it really should be socialism though. That's when they've realized that like their personal stability and quality of life might fall apart if they don't exist in an economic system that's more sustainable. Putting on my level 3 biohazard suit for this one, I think that's appropriate. I think that's a good move. But yeah, I think this time we're in right now, with things like more evidently falling apart, we're gonna see some liberals who are like saying some pretty true stuff, but they're saying it now in a tactical way. They've been ignoring it when leftists have been saying it for a long time, and then like they have to now, and that's the thing we should be thinking about, is like why say it now? B-Rat says they tend to just spiral around UBI usually. I don't expect them to go full in on socialism. Yeah, I think that's another one. If yeah, we may see them go for UBI more again. I guess I think that like I'm talking about, I think them pointing out for like calling out for more central planning in the economy, calling out for like kind of a kind of supplicant position in like international trade with other powers, especially China. I'm not expecting them to go like suddenly woke and be like, oh, actually we could have just been being nice to each other this whole time, you know, the obvious thing. I don't mean that really. I mean more like, yeah, I guess UBI is kind of in the general like neighborhood of it. UBI is such an endless can of brainworms. Just like when people will say UBI specifically because they want to sound more like realistic and like they've got they're being like grown up about politics, and you know, rather than talking about socialism. It's so frustrating to me because it's just like Bullshit Jobs is Graeber's worst book, but the pointing out, like the communicating to people that like people do bullshit jobs that are just like they take a piece of paper and fold the piece of paper and do that 100 times a day, kind of bullshit, because our economies in the West rely on imperialist plunder, and we have to share out the imperialist plunder for it to be benefiting the economy properly. And so there has to be like 10 companies full of people doing bullshit jobs attached to every one company that's in like direct flow of the money touching stream. Oh, it's such a nightmare. And like UBI is just that without the job. It's just going like, we should just get the imperialist plunder just for being here. You know, we should just get it just for being citizens. And it's like, this is ultra treats mindset. And like the thing is, it would benefit a ton of people immediately, right? It would just like raise a whole ton of people's standards of living. And there's even a way around where you could implement UBI, and it would be effectively funneling the money that is coming in from like extractive relationships that richer countries have to poorer countries at the moment into a place where like people wouldn't be continuing the extractive and exploitative and harmful roles. Like our economy wouldn't be like predicated on predatory relationships to poorer nations, and instead it would allow for a transition towards something that's not this horrifying imperialism. It's certainly a non-reformist reform. But people make it their single policy, their single issue, you know, they make it their single issue. Yeah, because they are socialists, or they want to be socialists, but they think that being a socialist is too idealistic and not realistic enough, and instead end up saying, what if we all just got a nice big slice of imperialism pie sent to us once a month? That's not a good analysis. Princess Beckknight666 says, UBI is an effective vehicle for capturing revolutionary energy into established systems, but it's one that's predicated on the Imperial Core being able to extract sufficient resources from the periphery, which is a relationship that will fall apart. It's a relationship that is falling apart for sure, and like, as it's falling apart, the move that the fascists are offering to our governments is, yeah, we're just going to go in there and take it by force. We're just going to kick down the door and grab what we need. And yeah, as I say, UBI could have been used in a way where it was helping to steer towards a more sustainable and peaceful place, yeah, with the world. And a post-imperialist reconfiguration of our relationships to the rest of the world. But no one was really offering that. Like, I think this is like, we have to the guy with the crying kid with the gun meme, right? It's like, we have to confront that, like, Bernie Sanders and other like little guys, you know, blorbos to the left are responsible for some amount of like catastrophic failure here and like how things have fallen apart, because they could have offered a comprehensive program that really set like a really different vision of the world into action. And I don't know, like, Medicare for All is a really big, juicy thing to offer Americans because they just have a very specifically fucked healthcare system that is like truly and deeply fucked like nowhere else in the world. Like, for having the wealth that they have, yeah, it's just insane. But yeah, I think that Bernie should have gone even further and offered people even more stuff, basically, and should have like also had a sort of 5-year plan ready to go with just like, we're going to, you know, stem this collapse by changing our relationship to the world. But I don't know if he just maybe he didn't see it coming. I think maybe to him the position of America was kind of still, yeah, still quite eternal, maybe. It's something I've been reflecting on a lot the last couple of weeks, specifically because Red Planet started in... Did we start it in 2021 or 2022? We've been going 4 or 5 years now, and when we started it, it was not the mainstream thing. We said this in the last show. Like, it was not the mainstream consensus at all that, like, this massive decline was coming, this complete and utter, like, collapse of the Western imperialist structure. And, yeah, like, obviously after Trump won, there was a lot of discussion about how, like, worsened, like, the shrinking of imperial power had a relationship to fascism. But yeah, I think that people like Bernie, left blorbos, had a degree of analysis that was quite like, we're in this top dog spot. We get so much power and wealth from our relationships as they currently exist. We're going to make things better for the working class of America, and that will make us more good as a nation, but ultimately we will be in more or less the same relationships to the rest of the world as we currently have. Like, Bernie took about 2 minutes after October 7th to say Israel has a right to defend itself, right? Like, it's yeah, like, I don't know. We need to think about how the left blorbos let us down. Prince Infidel says, I have nothing meaningful to add to the discussion. I just want to say those glasses look especially cute on you, Sophie. Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you. I I'm enjoying this outfit today. I did actually wear it yesterday, so I'm kind of slumming it. I'm kind of slob moding on stream a little bit, but Sundry Clowncar says nothing will fundamentally change type strat. Yeah, I think like it's I can't remember what chart my partner was showing me last night, but there was a graph of like, was it that oil profits? It was it was a chart of one of the various numbers that you can take as a basic measure of like how much is the West succeeding at the thing it's doing, or how much is American imperialism succeeding. And it was very striking. There was a very striking and obvious like dip, like the absolute it was oil, because it was literally, we were talking about like when the point of peak oil was, and literally like the point of peak oil is exactly the same time that neoliberalism gets like moved from a theoretical fringe idea that like one freak in the University of Chicago economics department has, to being like governmental policy. And it's like as it goes past peak oil and dips, and as it dips, you know, like that's when they start being like, well, shit, we need to do something right now because the line isn't going up. And then like the bottom of the peak is when, sorry, the bottom of that trough is the full implementation of neoliberalism, and then it turns all the way back around again. With the exception that the other dip then is 2008, obviously. But yeah, okay. That is so much preamble. I'm so rambly today. I think I am feeling a little bit jittery after all the technical difficulties and everything. I might make a coffee, which will definitely make me less jittery. In all seriousness, I think having a hot drink will help with my throat, and also maybe just a 2-minute break to sort that out will help me to breathe a little bit and stop going quite so like zoomy. I've got the zoomies, chat. I've just got the zoomies. I'm gonna put a lo-fi thing on and put the intermission screen back on, and I'm gonna be like a couple minutes while I just make myself a hot drink. Maybe a tea is a better idea than a coffee. Yes, I'm gonna be back in 2 minutes. So chat, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. We will actually properly start this nightmare Strait of Hormuz article just after this break. I'm sorry that it's been so long before we actually get to the main feature today. This is so silly. Thank you once again for your patience, and please consider subscribing or cheering or donating directly, or if you're a VOD viewer, hi VOD viewers, the link down below. hopefully now I can have a significantly less manic energy. Why is this reset? Why is it more stuff? Why is it now? Why is it always more stuff? Okay, hopefully we're gonna have a much more chill energy going through the rest of the stream, starting with Iran has a chokehold on the world's oil. Here's how to break it. Just nightmare title. So we're thinking about when liberal analysis turns materialist and what that means. And the answer is it's pretty scary. It's a scary time when libs start admitting that there is like materialist analysis to see here. And yeah, that's when they generally admit they were actually always pretty happy to just be the worst conceivable people, really. I wonder. Sorry, I'm fiddling with Streamlabs stuff again. I shouldn't be doing this. This is very rude of me. Alright. Let's get into it. Strategists long viewed the closure of the Strait of Hormuz as a low probability event, much like that of the United States launching a war with launching a war against Iran. Since combat ensued, we've seen energy prices climb and stock markets vacillate as nations such as India deal with cooking gas shortages. Americans reacquaint themselves with $4 a gallon gasoline, and the Federal Reserve wrestles with the prospect of resilient inflation. Iran's ability to effectively shutter oil's most critical waterway has exposed a huge supply chain vulnerability, one that will have to be remedied by diversification in the production of oil and gas, as well as the means and methods to transport them. Notably, this is the third major supply chain disruption induced by global events. Pardon me. Should I make this a bit bigger? I feel like this could be, yeah, significantly bigger on screen. There we go. Now, where were we? This is the third major supply chain disruption induced by global events in the last 6 years. First COVID, then the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, now the war in the Middle East. Although each was different, they all carried significant implications for energy, food, and other goods, in highlighting how intensely interconnected markets are. Markets always find a way to deal with constraints, usually by settling at a much different, as in higher, price. In the near term, a full reopening of the strait is the simplest and most direct way to restore market balance. The Iranians, though, aren't very interested in playing at the moment. That's a crazy thing to say on the face of it, like, it's just, sorry, like, okay, I know you're the New York Times, and I know your country is at war, but also you know that the war was a stupid thing to do, and you know that the war is incredibly, incredibly unpopular. The Iranians aren't playing because they're being bombed, and like, I don't support the Iranian government, but I support the Iranian government in not getting bombed by America. Like, America shouldn't be bombing them and killing their people, and blowing up a ton of schoolgirls and shit like this. And that's like, that shouldn't be a controversial thing, as much as it shouldn't be controversial, like, that a bunch of stuff that the Iranian government does is bad. Oh, Christ. The Iranians aren't playing. The strangling of the strait by a single government actor is forcing a huge rethink about the global energy distribution network. Right now, that means an everything but the kitchen sink approach. We have seen a combination of tools being used or considered: releasing strategic oil stocks, reflagging vessels or allowing vessels to pass by agreement with Iran, government-backed insurance, naval escorts, and military threats. Combination of tools being used or considered. This is a bit of an interesting one just because, like, some of these are very much just things that have been considered, as they put it, but not. I think I shouldn't have had the text that I've got on the live screen be... Sorry, chat, it'll be one more second. I've got to do something else. I've got to do some yet another extra thing now. Or maybe I can just do outline. Maybe outline is enough. One sec. No, was that? What? Oh. Yeah, I think I found it. Okay, if it's like that. If it's like that. That's just about readable. Okay, we don't really want just about readable though. Okay, there we go. That's much better. And cool. We've seen a combination, blah blah blah. We're also seeing expanded use of existing alternative routes that bypass the strait, such as the East-West pipeline across the Arabian Peninsula to the Red Sea. That combination won't be enough to break Iran's grip on 20% of the world's oil. The East-West pipeline is a starting point for how the future may unfold. It is a 750-mile system that allows oil and oil products to be moved across the Arabian Peninsula from the eastern province, where it can feed refineries and industrial activity, or be loaded for export at the Red Sea port of Yanbu. Built in the early 1980s with an initial design capacity of about 5 million barrels per day, although it was reportedly flexed to 7 million barrels in 2019, the pipeline provides insurance against an inability to export through the strait. The lesson here is that insurance in the form of an expanded supply chain is rapidly shaping future development. Once the Iran conflict is behind us, there has to be a careful examination of investments needed to make supply chains more diversified and resilient, including the development of export alternatives to the strait. Okay. For the Saudis, this could include an expansion at the port of Yanbu to support greater output and loading, as well as revisiting now closed routes such as the Trans-Arabian Pipeline corridor. Iraq has begun exporting oil north via the Kirkuk-Ceyhan pipeline route. The UAE has used the Habshan-Fujairah pipeline since Baghdad and the Kurdistan regional government reached an agreement. Not one of these is a perfect substitute for running tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran's strategic advantage and the looming global oil shortages now make the expansion of these routes an urgent matter of political will, investment, and commercial viability. In practice, this means expanding production in frontier plays in Guyana and Suriname, located east of Venezuela, Argentina, and Brazil. While these South American countries have historically endured cycles of nationalization and privatization, which carry their own risks for investors, they are less exposed to the type of geopolitical calamity we are witnessing in the Persian Gulf. Moreover, the nature of the production, highly complex offshore rigs or short-cycle shale, renders it less exposed to government takeover. Other regions will also come into sharper focus. So, I'm going to pause at this point actually. Other regions will come into sharper focus, including Russia, the Arctic, Africa, and North America. What we've had so far is basically an examination of the fact that the closure of the strait will cause a geopolitical ripple in terms of supply chains and in terms of the relationships between, primarily, because this is the New York Times, the West and the states that it extracts from. Those wily Iranians, what will they do next? Yeah, exactly. It's just fucking wild. Like, I don't know. In all of this, like... So I've heard that one of the 5 things, as well as reparations, that Iran has demanded in a settlement is that there's recognition, like official recognition, that they are in charge of the Strait of Hormuz. That, like, they do control whether it's closed or open. And I don't know how likely that one is to come through in like literal terms, because I don't think that, like, what would it mean? Would they have like, are they asking for a deed to the Strait of Hormuz or whatever? But like, as the article already said, reopening the strait would be the absolute fastest way to resolve the crisis in oil that is therefore necessarily a crisis in energy, a crisis in food, a crisis in just the economy writ large. This like shockwave that is about to hit the entire global economy. Like, we've basically all just seen an explosion on the horizon, and the shockwave is racing towards us and has not properly hit everyone yet. Like, even for as much as people are talking about, like, people who drive big cars in America, I've seen talking a bunch about how much they're noticing, like, gas prices being suddenly double or some shit. That's not even it. Like, the fallout in terms of energy, food, medicine, and then just as I say, the economy writ large. This fallout will be delayed primarily by like stockpiles that people have of various different things, and the price of oil going up as a result of this is like a very directly measurable one. But the burning through like reserves that different nations have stored of oil, and then like the reserves of food, the reserves of fertilizer. Yeah, it's just like, it's just not properly hit yet. And so when the article acknowledges that like simply the best thing for everyone is if the strait could just be reopened, and the war is an illegal war. I know the answer to everything I'm saying here to some degree has to just be like, well, what are they actually going to do about it? Like, how do you actually just like tell America what to do? But just like, America surrendering and stopping this war would be the fastest route, right? Like, no one has agreed to, excuse me, no one has agreed to like help out in defeating Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. Japan agreed to do it for a minute, and then Iran said, actually, Japan, you can just have your oil go through the strait. Our beef isn't with you. And Japan was like, oh, okay, oh shit. And like, we can all see that the fascists are thinking the fastest way to resolve this is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in the terms of let's get the military in there and do it by force. But like, it seems stunningly absent from this piece that like the fastest thing that could be done is like everyone in the world putting whatever kind of pressure they have on America to stop this poorly conceived, immoral, illegal, and dangerous war that violates the sovereignty of another nation, to just like back out of it and give Iran what it wants. Like, what it wants isn't even unreasonable. Like, it isn't even like, the most unreasonable and scary thing that anyone could say about Iran is the thing that we just made up about them, that they want nukes. This is all just so fucking bizarre. Contorted into, like, all of this is just, is contorted into such shapes in the name of liberalism. Valerie, the lovely Italian, welcome to the stream. Lovely to have you here. Everyone, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I've been live now for 2 hours. An hour before that, I was panicking and shitting myself and pissing and crying and coming because Streamlabs deleted all my scenes and I was having the worst possible time. I guess about 20 minutes at the start of this, it'll cut off of the VOD, was just the loading music. But More to the point, the stream's been live for 2 hours now. We're trying to hit 480 by the end of the stream. We're at 405. That's 70. That's 75 pounds. If everyone watching right now donated £2 with command tip, that's exclamation mark TIP. And I forgot that I'm not logged in. On the Streamlabs program, I have to go do commands in chat. That's so annoying. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for donating 10 tier 1 gift subs to the community, Anonymous. So thank you very much, Anonymous, who has donated tier 1 gift subs to Starlight Reverie, Artemis the Glitch, Jaron Joy, Friendly Frog, Walada, Belden 0082, Rob, Pathogen 7, Atra 011, Rusty Shovel 99. You now all have tier 1 gift subs, and there's a hype train going. Holy shit. And now City of Doors. Oh my goodness. Now City of Doors has donated 5 tier 1 subs to the community. Apple Chips the video game, Quaff Delicates, Sherara, Mystical Fairy 8277, and B-Rat. You now all have tier 1 Sophie from Mars subscriptions. That means you can use my emotes. That means you can do things like, what's the command? Am I going to remember it correctly this time, chat? That's the big question. Copy pasta space. Yes, you get this little, if you get this little copy pasta, I've made a little picture that you can draw with space pictures that are my emotes, and some of them are pictures that I personally took. They're my actual picture of the moon and of Jupiter and of Saturn, and maybe I will include my picture of the pictures, my own pictures of the ISS at some point, because that's my current project that I'm having a lot of fun with, is taking pictures of the ISS as it flies over. But if you donate, the money goes all to me. There's no Bezos cut of it. None of it is Bezos bucks. But now, oh, holy shit! So many gift subs. Okay, and no one is having viewing with ads anymore. Not for the next month anyway. To Distraction, thank you so much for gifting 5 tier 1 subs to the community. We City of Doors, Vordrella, Story Girl, Moth Swarm, and Litty Bras. Congratulations on all having tier 1 subscriptions. You now have access to a bunch more emotes. One very easy one I can point out is actually you now have the option to go kitty mode. I think that's actually quite important. I've cleverly devised my stream emotes so that free viewers can go lib mode, they can go slop mode, or they can go lib slop mode, but only by subscribing can you go kitty mode. Meow meow. Okay, we should get back to the actual content of the stream. Anyway, everyone, thank you for all these gift subs, and please consider donating as well, because that goes straight most directly to supporting me. Ow, meow. I thought there was kind of some kind of cat thing there, but there wasn't. Let's carry on with it. Oh, I forgot I was going to offer this because it's the last stream of the month. If chat, and I don't know if you did, but if you enjoyed me doing the Sporkle before, then if we hit the stream dono goal today, I will do Countries of the World, and this can be an ongoing thing. Final stream of the month. We'll keep it going and see if I improve month in, month out with my country's knowledge. If you would enjoy that, I can take it or leave it because I'm already tired. But I also like it. I also enjoy it. Okay, we are back on the New York Times. Ooh. Oh my goodness. What a chaotic screen I've got going on here. My webcam with no kind of decoration around it, just like floating here, overlapped the chat beneath me. I've got white and black text on black on white. And then I've got myself appearing to celebrate all the subscriptions. I think we've hit like peak entertainment here. This is just such a professional setup. Okay, so now we're going into the second half of the article where things get really cool and normal. Other regions will also come into sharper focus, including Russia, the Arctic, Africa, and North America. Russia remains one of the world's largest holders of oil and gas resources, but Western oil companies are unlikely to want Vladimir Putin as a partner. That's not true of China, one of the world's largest oil consumers, which will most likely expand its relationship with Russia to guarantee access to supply. Whoever the buyer, keeping oil flowing matters in a global market. The Arctic remains a difficult region for oil exploration due to its remoteness and high production costs, not to mention environmental challenges. Nevertheless, the Trump administration has plans to license drilling in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Do not be surprised if we hear announcements of new interests emerging. Africa is also home to tremendous oil and gas resources, as well as minerals and metals. Yay! Here, there is interest in expanding supply chain depth beyond oil and gas. On that continent, armed conflict remains an albatross for greater investment, but the costs of the conflicts in Ukraine and Iran, as well as a Western desire to diversify minerals and metal supply chains away from China, are significant counterweights. One way or another, we are going to need Africa. This is fine. Everything's fine. Everything's just superb. Yay! Everything's so okay right now. Haha! Wee! The reason I highlighted albatross there for a sec, by the way, so chat, I'm just gonna explain this if you don't know it, because my partner didn't know about it, and I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page about this. Albatross is reference to primarily a poem, but more broadly to the superstition that you shouldn't, if you're a sailor, kill seabirds. But the poem, the Albatross, features a sailor who does just that, and then ill fortune befalls his vessel, and he goes nuts, and he wears the albatross around his neck, and all sorts of shit. He has a bad time. This is a very fitting metaphor they've reached for here. Armed conflict in Africa remains an albatross for greater investment. So, moneyed interests are scared of going harder into trying to get Africa's resources because there is constant armed conflict there. This is it's a very fitting metaphor because it was us who did this, right? If you were having a real moral reckoning and doing things as well as possible in waking up to the fact that colonialism was a series of absolute horrors predicated on the lie justified through, pseudoscientific race categories, the idea that black people are less human, basically. If you were having a real moral reckoning with colonialism and its consequences in the process of pulling back from colonialism, you would want to make African nations be in control of their own resources and as stable as possible. However, if you want short-term access to the resources and you aren't really thinking about the long term because you aren't a thing that actually thinks and has thoughts and dreams and feelings, you're just actually capital. You're the raw force of capital. And so you actually don't have this kind of intentionality. Then the smart move there, I guess, is to just keep everything as unstable as possible forever. Just make short-term, greedy decisions that will get you the resources at the expense of peace and equality and justice and progress and the whole entire continent, basically, the cradle of humanity, just in perpetual violent turmoil because white people need their resources and don't want to put any work into bettering people's lives at all. It's an albatross. It's a good one. It's a good metaphor they've reached for there, but it's the moral weight of this is like absolutely enormous, and I don't feel like they are fully reckoning with it when they then conclude the paragraph, one way or another, we're going to need Africa. Oh. In North America, producing more oil and gas, drill baby drill, to use President Trump's mantra, should be easier relative to other regions. Why aren't they talking about renewables at all? I thought it would be like a really, I think I said this earlier, but I thought it would be a really obvious take to a ton of people that, like, if oil supply is getting choked up, then we should invest in renewables more, surely. Like, you know, like I said, China sent like enough solar panels to Cuba to power 1/10 of their entire electricity grid. Like, in response to the oil blockade, Iran is effectively doing, you know, not the same thing because, like, because America's like entirely shut off Cuba's access to oil, and tons of people are dying because of it. But like, Iran is doing, you know, a smaller version of that. Let's just have some renewables, you know? You know what can't be affected at all by the Strait of Hormuz? Sunshine and wind. You know? Just build. I'm living out a little bit here. I'm definitely living out a little bit because, like, I get that the incentives of capital are what have driven this, and that, like, without breaking free of capital, we can't make, like, proper human decisions about this stuff. But just, like, it just seems so incredibly obvious, and, like, such an obvious win. Also, remember, if you're enjoying the stream, to consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. That flurry of donated tips was, like, absolutely shocking. I don't think I've had that many subscriptions donated that rapidly before, like, maybe ever. That was nuts. Okay. Of course, oil and gas companies will weigh their investment options against the landscape of all energy opportunities, including nuclear and renewables. Oh, okay. I should have just, like, I should have held my tongue on this a little bit. Just waited a little bit longer. Pronouncements of a shift to alternative energy. Oh, this is the last bit. Pronouncements of a shift to alternative energy will abound, and new sources could indeed play a role going forward. Aha. So this is their justification about. So let's hear it. This is justification for why we're not taking renewables seriously. But make no mistake, global economic activity relies on our current hydrocarbon-based energy infrastructure. It will go back to work when the current disruption is behind us, just as it has in the past. This is a simple cost-benefit issue. We clearly need to deepen and diversify energy supply chains, even as the Middle East remains central to trade, just as it has for centuries. Crude oil is the deepest, most fungible commodity market on the planet, and natural gas is hot on its heels. So, a disruption anywhere is felt everywhere. We should be prepared for more of them. Chat, what do you think? What do you think of this article? What do you think it's doing? What stood out to you? Give me your thoughts. And, yeah, let's discuss a little bit before we move on to the next one. Wild article. I've got my thoughts. I'm just holding off on them for a second to give you time to type stuff up. Friendly Frog saying, making a face like that little monkey putting both hands on her head right now. Yeah, real. Extremely, extremely real. Oh. This, by the way, was by Kenneth Medlock III. I hate the New York Times so much. I just fucking hate the New York Times. Like, it's so fucked. Mr. Medlock is a professor of economics and an expert in global energy. B-Rat says the EU barely did anything after Crimea in 2014. Is the magnitude of this going to change the quality of response? Interesting. Yeah, so let's talk about some systemic forces a little bit. So, the tendency of the rate of profit to fall contains within it, or is adjacent to, a force that we can look at for this stuff that, like, drives, I mean, for one, like, drives inflation, right? But, like, Um, Capital circulates or it dies. Trade must keep going all the time. We must be buying things, and for any given enterprise, expansion is also like the rule of life. The tendency of the rate of profit to fall is basically, you can expect that the money that you're making on any given commodity is going to go down as you sell them, right? Like for myriad reasons, but the most simple one you could imagine is just like, you're gonna find fewer people who want the thing once you've been selling the thing to people for a bit. And so the company will have less money overall, and so it needs to make more money out of somewhere, and so the cheapest or the most like flexible part of the books when you're looking at how everything fits together is the labor. So you want cheaper labor always, and this is how the working class comes to like constantly be made to accommodate worse and worse shifts in the global economy, and why it's so important always to be defeating organized labor and breaking strikes. Because if the working class isn't able to collectivize and wield collective power, then they can't say no to adjusting and budgeting to be more okay with a rising cost of living and stagnant wages. The fact we've had this rising cost of living and stagnant wages for, I mean, for me, it's like most of my life. it's been just like a seemingly eternal truth of most of the time I've been alive, is stagnant wages and rising cost of living. This always means everyone adapting to accommodate everything costing more on the same amount of money. And that, I've said this before, like that work that you put in is like economic labor, I guess. It is work that like you put into making your, like from your perspective, it's survival, right? It's just about you just getting by. It's just about you having enough to just keep on existing at all. But in bigger picture terms, it's also you doing work that makes it possible for you to be paid less, or makes it possible for you to be paid the same while the prices go up. Like, in a sense, it's like it's the work of not rioting, but obviously like rioting only happens when everyone's doing it. So as long as the ruling class rather knows how to manipulate us to stay eternally like passive, I think doomerism is a huge one of that. Like if you're always just going, especially as a leftist, because you're speaking to the people who are like like very dissatisfied with the situation. If you're just eternally going, oh well, it's fucked. Yeah, but it's just really fucked though. Yeah, but we're all fucked. Yeah, we're all going to the camps. They're just gonna kill us all. Yep. Just like, and that's your eternal thing. Like that's just, you're doing a really, like they should be paying you more. And I think that like there is a restructuring going on here on a global scale that is also like refusing to acknowledge that one crucial part of this is actually changeable, and that part again being like the power of the ruling class, the resources and structures of their extraction. So like, I'm now dealing with like quite an abstract analogy I'm making, so I hope people are following this along, and feel free to ask questions. But like, and this also just might be a shit metaphor, but like the same way that if everything costs more and we don't get any pay rise, and we do the work of adjusting to paying more, like we are staving off the rioting, we are making it possible for the system to continue that way. In the same way, the global economy shifting to make it okay that the Strait of Hormuz is closed is doing the work of letting Trump not admit defeat and not surrender over this. Like, actually, if people want to politically act in relation to this, it should all be pressure on America to concede immediately and give Iran just everything it's asking for. Because, like, anything else is this restructuring that says, like, no, like, America conceding on this is unthinkable. And the other unchangeable part of this actually is oil. So, Kenneth Medlock III, what the fuck? Kenneth Medlock III is a professor of economics and an expert in global energy. So it's like, of course he has this, you know, realist perspective on, like, well, we just do use a ton of fossil fuels and we are just going to keep on using fossil fuels in this way. If we were to interrogate why he says that, probably the most straightforward answer would be, like, even if we built up a massive renewable energy grid and we're able to replace all that energy, the fossil fuels are still there. And people can firstly, like, make money off of extracting and using them. And secondly, they can use them, right? Like, using them is good. It's power. It gets stuff done. It makes it possible for things to happen, basically. Power in a very, you know, literal and straightforward way. Can I increase the length of this? The chat? I'd like the chat to be, like, taller, basically. I've got this short ass chat. Little chatlet. Okay, that's a later question. Never mind. But this, like, realist perspective or whatever, this sort of, like, it will get used because it's there, masks what's really going on, which is, again, capitalism, right? It's the eternal requirement. Sorry, I need to wipe the top of the camera. This is going to be like I'm cleaning you, chat. Sorry, I just spotted something. Oh, there's some under that too. Be normal about this. Be normal. What was I saying? Capitalism requires constant expansion, and if we were in an economic system that was comfortable with being sustainable and not requiring eternal growth, I'm normal about Sophie pets you POV. Because we're in an economic system that requires eternal growth, yes, if you build up more capacity in the energy system, it will just get used as well. You know, it won't be replacing fossil fuels with renewables. It will be using renewables and fossil fuels, and that's because of our economic mode. And so I think that's once again the classic thing that's missing from all liberal slop is socialism. I've now completely distracted chat. I'm just going to move on to the next piece because, like, I've ruined chat's brains by doing what I've done. Shirara saying, "I'm Kitty." Wow. If you're enjoying the stream in any way, I guess, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. We have 2 more articles I'd like to look at. The next one is still very related to, I guess we're just going to call it the collapse that's going on at the moment. And the one I'd like to look at after that is to do with, like, fascism, basically. To do with, like, fasc shit that's going on and, like, the general trend of our culture, descent into fascism. So I guess I guess now I'm thinking of it, you can conceive of these as all being in a set, but I think of the third article as being a little bit off to the side. The next one is also about collapse. So we've just had one side of it very focused on oil. You know, I've just thought of the thumbnail for this stream's VOD. I'm just gonna get like I usually get the selfie that I take for my go live tweet. It's just me, you know, like just chilling, and I'm just gonna have like the massive oil cloud, the massive towering pillar of black smoke, with "This is fine." There you go. I figured out the perfect thumbnail. So we looked a little bit of the oil and supply chain side of things, and to take, I guess, the next natural step in a holistic model of how things are collapsing, we should talk about the American economy, which is to say, the American tech sector, which is to say, the AI bubble. Because right now, they're all just basically kind of the same thing. Okay, we're going to read "Welcome to a Multidimensional Economic Disaster." Now, this subtitle I find very interesting. It says, "The AI boom wasn't built for the poly crisis." I find this interesting because it leads me to a kind of prediction that I was going into the first time I read this. So I'll tell you the prediction, and I guess you can bear it in mind and kind of evaluate against this rubric. But this subtitle, "The AI boom wasn't built for the poly crisis," if I may do a bit of like reading a book by its cover, since we haven't actually, you know, we haven't all gone through the article together yet, but it's saying, I'm so sorry, I'm really, really burpy this evening. I think it's because I got stressed before because of the technical difficulties I was having, and it always makes me like swallow a bunch of air. I read it's apparently because of hyperventilating. "Waxing Philosophical is rating with a party of 4. Welcome to the stream, Waxing Philosophical and friends." What was I saying? "The AI boom wasn't built for the poly crisis." Subtitle. So this subtitle, "The AI boom wasn't built for the poly crisis," to me seems to be saying the AI revolution, the complete reworking of society to benefit from the wonders of AI, was definitely a really good idea, says The Atlantic, who are officially partnered with OpenAI. So that's cool, isn't it? It was actually definitely a good idea. It's just not now, you know? It's not that it's a terrible idea or a scam. It's just not right now, you know? That's the thing. It just wasn't going to work like in this time or in this timeline. And that's, well, we'll have to read it and see. But let's get into it and let's have a read. Okay. So the global economy has become dependent on the AI industry. Even first sentence makes me want to like pause and start bitching about this article, because like the global economy has been forced very like intensively and coercively by the ruling class into being dependent on the AI industry, because the ruling class sees benefits in having technologies that like are good at manipulating us, lying to and manipulating us and making us compliant and docile. The global economy hasn't just simply become dependent on the AI industry. Like this here, The Atlantic, like it's these people are like this publication, but also these people specifically are like very, very deeply enmeshed with what has happened here. Okay, it's not going well. We've gotten one sentence in. The global economy has become dependent on the AI industry. Fine. Trillions of dollars are being invested into the technology and the infrastructure it relies on. In the final months of 2025, functionally all economic growth in the United States came from AI investments. That's cool and normal, isn't it, chat? That makes you feel really good about the future of the American economy, doesn't it? Doesn't that feel great, chat? Fucking hell. This would be risky even in ideal conditions, and we are very far from ideal conditions. Oh no, guys. Guys, I think it's not ideal. Much of the AI supply chain, chips, data centers, combustion turbines, and so on, relies on key materials that are produced in or transported through just a few places on Earth with little overlap. In particular, the industry is highly dependent on the Middle East, which has been destabilized by the war in Iran. A global energy shock seems all but certain to come soon. Yay! The kind where even the best-case scenario is a disaster. The war could grind the AI build-out to a halt. This would be devastating for the tech firms that have issued historic amounts of debt to race against their highly leveraged competitors, and it would be devastating for the private lenders and banks that have been buying up the debt in hope of ever bigger returns. For the better part of the last year, Wall Street analysts and tech industry observers have fretted publicly about an AI bubble. Whee! The fear is that too much money is coming in too fast, and that generative AI companies still have not offered anything close to a viable business model. Really? What? What? This is the first I'm hearing about this. Someone help me fix my economy, my family is dying, and it's like $20 trillion on the machine that flatters you and lies to you. Oh, God. I just, like... As an anarchist, I don't really believe in good rulers. At the same time, like, our rulers are such pieces of shit. Like, our rulers are so stupid and lazy and just generally pathetic. Like, this is it, you know? Like, they didn't even, like... try to, like, win over our pride and affection by... You know, like, they're not trying to build the pyramids or whatever. Like, they're not trying to, like, go to space properly. Like, not... There are programs like Artemis that are, like, catching up to where we should have been a long time ago. And they just aren't even, like, the focus of the American empire at this point. It's just, like... Oof. It's all so frustrating. I think I might have scratched my lenses. Luckily, I know a very cute optician. That's my main criteria, of course, because it's the seeing doctor you go to see better. Okay. Too much money coming in too fast. Growth would stall, or the technology which is seen as failing to deliver on its promises. The bubble might burst, triggering a chain reaction across the financial system. Everyone, big banks, private equity firms, people who have no idea what's mixed into their 401k, would be hit by the AI crash. This is like... No. They cancelled Artemis? No. Holy shit. That's so fucked. No, I see. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 I was very scared for a second. Okay. They cancelled the Lunar Gateway, not the Artemis program. If I pull up something here, you know, I'll have the other tab over on this screen for a second. Lunar Gateway is cancelled. NASA ditches moon station for moon base. NASA's ambitious plans to build a space station in orbit of the moon are officially on hold, Administrator Jared Isaacman said Tuesday, with the space agency instead skipping the orbital habitat in favor of building a permanent base on the lunar surface. All right, okay. Sorry for misinfo, everyone. We set the days since misinfo counter back down. back down to zero. I misinterpreted, probably because of the day I'm having, and read the worst possible version of the news. Yeah. Okay, where were we? We were at this is small again. Let's make this yeah, that's much better. Everyone, big banks, blah blah blah, hit by the AI crash. Oh boy. It's just like, would be, guys, it's happening. We're locked in at this point. Reminder to chat that we're trying to hit 480 by the end of the stream today. We got like 50 people watching right now, so if everybody in chat right now did exclamation mark TIP, that's command tip, and donated just £2 each, we would sail past the dono goal. And VOD watchers, please remember also that you could consider supporting the VODs if you enjoy the VODs regularly. Yeah, would be is just like is not firm enough language for this. Like, this is like, I'm being petty at their wording, so it's hardly like the most important analysis to this stuff right now, but just like, it's frustrating because at the same time this is them admitting it, right? Like, this is them admitting that like leftists have been right about this stuff the entire time and about what's coming up. As I said earlier in the stream, the why they're admitting it now is the interesting question. B-Rat says, but the tech bros keep telling me I just need to pay them $200 a month and they'll prove their scam isn't a scam because I will have paid them for it. That's pretty good. Until recently, that kind of crash felt hypothetical. Today it feels plausible and to some almost inevitable. What's unusual about this, unlike commercial real estate during the global commercial real estate during the global financial crisis, Paul Kadrowski, an investor and financial consultant, told us, is all of these interlocking points of fragility. Perhaps the clearest examples are advanced memory and training chips, which are among the most important and by far the most expensive components of training any AI model. Currently, most of them are produced by 2 companies in South Korea and 1 in Taiwan. These companies, that's because the one in Taiwan is TSMC, which is the entire Taiwanese economy. These countries in turn get a large majority of their crude oil and much of their liquefied natural gas, which help fuel semiconductor manufacturing, from the Persian Gulf. The chip companies also require helium, sulfur, and bromine, three key inputs to silicon wafers, largely sourced from the region. In addition, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, and other regional petrostates have become key investors in the American AI firms that purchase most of these chips. Because of the war in Iran, the Strait of Hormuz is functionally closed to most shipping vessels, stranding 1/5 of the world's exports of natural gas, 1/3 of the world's exports of crude oil, and significant quantities of the planet's exportable fertilizer, helium and sulfur. Meanwhile, Iran and Israel have begun bombing much of the fossil fuel infrastructure of the region, which could take many years to replace. In only a month of war, the price of Brent crude, a global oil benchmark, has jumped by 40% and could more than double. Liquefied natural gas prices are soaring in Europe and Asia, and helium spot prices have already doubled. The strait is critical to basically every aspect of the global economy, Sam Winter-Levy, a technology and national security researcher at Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, told us. The AI supply chain is not insulated. The situation could quickly deteriorate from here. A helium crunch could trigger a shortage of AI chips. A shortage of AI chips, or cause chip prices to rise. AI companies need ever more advanced chips to fill their data centers at higher prices. The massive server farms, already hurting from elevated energy costs caused by the war, would have almost no hope of becoming profitable. Without these chips, new data centers would not be built or would sit empty. Astronomical tech valuations, and in turn the entire stock market would collapse. Well, it's the stuff that me and Mule and Tim have been saying for forever. It's exactly the stuff that me and Mule and Tim have been saying for forever. It's happening. Even the Atlantic is admitting it now. I think a couple of things for me are coming up that are not necessarily like my take or, you know, my analysis of this or whatever, but just like they're just coming up. So like one of them, they're both to do with like the Mencius Moldbug dark gothic MAGA plan for taking over the world that like all the Project 2025 share basically. The first thought is like a bunch of people got really, really scared with Trump 2 beginning, with like Trump coming in a second time and like a whole bunch of the plans for what that was going to look like being announced and then being, you know, absolutely fucking terrifying, right? Like the very holistic plan that Curtis Yarvin, Mencius Moldbug, had made for like creating a version of society that is effectively mitigated entirely through technology controlled by the ruling class in a way that would make anyone who like opposes the status quo, anyone who's critical of the ruling class, possible for them to be like, sorry, this is tickling, sorry, shadow banned from society is the word that I was reaching for, but that's tickling me because there's like a graffiti writer who writes shadow banned from society, who's clearly quite unwell, like a lot of graffiti writers are. And I've seen that written around London in a few places. One thing that's coming up for me is like that description of that world, this whole like, and like the Doge thing was part of it, like slashing the federal government to ribbons is like meant to be part of like shifting into this, yeah, like techno-fascism, this like partnership between hyper-authoritarian American imperialist government and Silicon Valley fascists. A bunch of people got really scared with it happening and were just like, oh shit, like they've completely got us. They're doing the thing that they wanted to do and it's just happening now. And what's coming up for me is like at the time, I was like, yeah, but like just because you've heard their complete plan doesn't mean it has no flaws. Like slashing the entire federal government to ribbons, for one thing, massively reduces American power. Like they, as the government, have less power if they reduce everything that they do. Even if what they do is like slash all that funding out and divvy it up between like a payoff to keep voters happy, payouts for the people who want, you know, the kleptocrats, and like giving the rest of the money directly to their like fascist militias, which is exactly what they've done. Like they actually have less power overall when they're being like as nakedly coercive as that. That's the one thing. And then I guess the other thing does actually relate more to like what's going on in the article here, which is just that like actually AI as it's been sold to everyone and forcibly implemented into practically every single fucking product it can possibly be shoved into. I have a phone at the moment that I really, really like. It's the Nokia XR20, and I like it because it's like, XR is for like extra rough. Like it's just like really sturdy and like you can chuck it around a ton. I've like thrown it out on the street at the concrete just to like prove that it's that sturdy. Give my friends a heart attack like a bunch of times. It's like I like having a phone that's like that sturdy, and it has like a button that will call up an AI assistant that I seemingly can't switch off. And so I've gotten a new phone that I like frankly like less because like because I've genuinely gotten so overwhelmed by how easy it is to accidentally call up this AI thing that like I really desperately don't want to have there. But sorry, the thing I was saying was like that insistent pushing of AI into everything in our lives has has a ton to do with the motivations of the ruling class. Like, culpability is a big part of the technology with AI. So like, where AI can be in charge of stuff, where AI can be the thing that's pointed to as having made the decision, and therefore like no one can be blamed. Like Maven, if people don't know about Maven, the military AI that's like deciding where to bomb in the Iran war right now. Like, that's a good example of like something that's very beneficial to and very appealing to the ruling class. There's less chance for there to be any kind of like attacks of conscience among the military if like it just literally doesn't have a conscience because it's not human. Erat says Google putting the AI mode tab on the left where the all tab used to be, because otherwise no one would use AI mode. It's so aggravating, and it's so like obvious and sickening what they're doing. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, as well as being like this culpability thing, generative AI, LLMs, people using them, it's so obviously a technology of control, and journalists have been hideously complicit in the normalization of this technology that's making a ton of people like horribly misinformed, mentally ill, and a danger to themselves and others. Journalists have been like, and especially the Atlantic with their partnership with OpenAI, obviously. I'm thinking of that Ezra Klein piece where he talks about like how blue Sam Altman's eyes are. I don't know if people remember that from 2023. That was completely insane. And dumber. Didn't I say that? I'm sure I said that. But yeah, no, it is making people dumber. Making the proletariat stupider is like is something I think Nixon literally explicitly described as a goal, because like an educated working class is one that will like collectivize and organize and be more trouble for the ruling class. Like, making us stupider is something that benefits them. It's absolutely like something that they love and they have set about trying to do with AI. And it also pulls people way more easily into their own individual world of misinformation. Because it's like, you know, it's more effort to customize through content delivery system everyone's reality to be their own specific individual misinfo hole. But if they're a regular user of the chatbot that remembers them and keeps chatting to them and stores what their conversation has been up to that point, then it can just do the gaslighting. It's their dedicated gaslighting agent. My hair is looking really bouncy and curly today. I'm really happy with it. I don't know what I've done differently, but I need to figure it out and do more of it. It's looking really good. Anyway, like, that particular technology of control, that particular aspect of how AI is useful to the ruling class is very, very, very important to this topic as being discussed here. And it's being treated as like AI is this great technological innovation and it's going to be in trouble because of the economic troubles that are happening. And no, like, the shrinking imperialist power has inspired this nascent fascism in Western nations, and the ruling classes conspired to like make everything more reactionary because it suits them better. Okay, everyone's been reading Jeffrey Epstein's emails, right? And we're all learning how a guy who is a billionaire pedophile wants to make the world more reactionary because it benefits billionaire pedophiles if the whole world is more reactionary. That's a society that works better for billionaire pedophiles. This has given some people the undue impression that Jeffrey Epstein was like meaningfully behind a bunch of significant events. No. He's just one of the ruling class, and you've got to read his emails. That's all that's happening there. You're seeing one of a whole class of people and their thought process over a period of many years, right? If you could see effectively like inside the minds of, by reading their emails, all of these people, you would see a ton of the same stuff, right? Like, because they all have the same motivations. Anyway, right. The shrinking power of the empire overall inspires the ruling class to make society more reactionary because it suits them better. They set about using any kind of methods that they think will work to make it so that dissent will be impossible as society, as they know it, falls apart. And so that they can continue to get even richer, even as the nation they're in gets poorer. Mencius Moldbug, Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg, and all of the tech wizards, they all have really plausible sounding answers to sell to Donald Trump, who is not a smart guy, about how they can make it literally impossible to ever rebel. And they set about trying to do it. And AI is actually a crucial part of that, like 1,000%. AI is a part of that they very intentionally like have pushed into everything because they see that it benefits them in this really specific way. In this world, in creating a world of simulacra, it's useful to them. And obviously, yeah, like the Atlantic, who are partnered with OpenAI, are not going to say that. Of course they're not. But it's just like this, presenting it as if it's just like this technological, innovation, and not part and parcel of the same thing that is causing the economic symptoms that are going to cause its downfall. Liberalism is a mind prison. Let's carry on with the article. If you're enjoying the stream, it's nearly been 3 hours now I've been streaming. Please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. We're trying to hit 480. Again, if everyone watching right now donated £2 with command tip, then we would sail past the right past the dono goal right away. B-Rat says, I need a pathologic that deals with social media. That's pretty good. Yes, so everyone, please consider donating, and small donations still help, even if you can't donate a lot. It does help. As I say, if everybody donated £2, we would get past the donor goal right away, and then we would have yet another bonus gaming stream for next month. And chat, if you would like, I'll do countries of the world, and you can see. I'll put the noggin to the test. I'll see how many countries are stored up here. And also VOD viewers, please remember, link down below if you want to support the VODs. Right. One industry's precarious position isn't usually everyone's problem. Haha, wee! Unfortunately, AI is different. I'm going to start killing in a straight line. Sorry, I've gotten really this phrase popped into my head recently, which is just like, it's been tickling me way too much. I keep on imagining this character, this person who's like, they snap. I was having a conversation with a friend about like when people historically have like snapped, right? And then they just decided, this is what my life is about for the rest of my entire life, is this thing. And generally in the context we were talking about like revolution. So we're talking about Lenin's brother, right, tried to do an assassination. He got caught, he got executed. Lenin snapped and was just like, I'm about the revolution for the rest of my life. I've just been picturing recently someone who like snaps in that way, but rather than having like good analysis, they just go like, I'm gonna kill everyone in a straight line between me and the White House. Like, they're just like they just go like Incredible Hulk mode or whatever. Anyway. The biggest data center players, known as hyperscalers, are among the biggest corporations in the history of capitalism. They include Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Amazon. But even they will be pressed by collectively spending nearly $700 billion a year on AI $700 billion on AI in a single year. In order to get the money for these unprecedented projects, data center providers are beginning to take on colossal amounts of debt. Some of this is done through creative deals with private equity firms, including Blackstone, BlackRock, and Blue Owl Capital. Come on! Come on! We got the war in the Middle East. We got the financial crash. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie was just entirely like we have somehow gone back to 2008. Like, it's just like, this is nightmarish. Oh my god. Which themselves operate as sort of shadow banks that, since the most recent financial crisis, have arguably become as powerful and influential as Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers were prior to 2008. Please, someone wake me up. Please, let me out. Let me out. Let me out of this. This is horrible. What the fuck? Endowments, pensions, insurance funds, and other major institutions all trust private equity to invest their money. Middle-earth Boxes says, a straight line, you say? You see what I mean? It's a very entertaining image. Just like someone's just like, right, that's it. Like they just have like a sleeper agent moment, but with like reading the news. For a while, it seemed like every time Google or Microsoft announced more data center investments, their stock prices rose. Now the opposite occurs. The hyperscalers are spending far more, but investors have started to notice they are not generating anything near the revenue they need to. The data center boom's top players, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, and Oracle, have all lost 8 to 27% of their value since the start of the year, making them a huge drag on the overall stock market. And right. Here we are. And the $121 billion of debt that hyperscalers issued in 2025, 4 times more than what they averaged for years prior, is expected to grow dramatically. All of the major players in this investment ecosystem are vulnerable. Private equity firms are being squeezed on both ends by generative AI. To Distraction, thank you so much for donating £15. I really appreciate that. Everybody, please remember you can donate to me directly, which sends me all of the money, and none of it goes to Jeff Bezos. And we're now at 420, which is pretty cool. But what's also pretty cool is that's only £60 away from the donor goal for today. So, chat, if you're enjoying the stream, we're only £60 away. As I've been saying, if everyone just gave a little bit, a very small amount, that I genuinely think that everyone probably could do if you wanted right now, we would get past the goal if everybody watching did that right now. All the major players in this investment ecosystem are vulnerable. Private equity firms are being squeezed on both ends by generative AI. During the coronavirus pandemic, they bought up software companies, which are now plummeting in value because AI is expected to eat their lunch. Meanwhile, private equity's new investment strategy, data centers, is also falling apart because of AI. Blackstone, Blue Owl, and the like are sinking huge sums into data center construction with the assumption that lease payments from tech companies will pay for their debt. In order to pay for their investments, private equity companies raise money from major financial institutions. But now, the viability of those lease payments is coming into question, as the hyperscalers' cash flow is strained. There's a reason to think we're seeing some of the same 2008 dynamics now. Oh my god, I gotta do some exercises that I learned in therapy. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is doing me in. I... There's a reason to think we're seeing some of the same 2008 dynamics now. Anyone who needs it, we're just going to do a big breath in like this. We're going to go round like this. Okay, so we're going to go... And just hold it. And then you go... And one more. And hold it. Some of the same 2008 dynamics now. That's cool, isn't it, chat? Isn't that cool? Isn't that great? Isn't that groovy? Valkyrie, thank you so much for donating £3. I really, really appreciate that. As I say, if everyone donated just a little bit, then we would be able to sail past the stream goal. Dono goal. By the end of the stream. The same 2008 dynamics. That's the senior advisor at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Holy shit. Okay. Everyone's getting tied up together. Banks are lending money to private credit, which in turn lends it everywhere. That amps up the risk. It's so bad, guys. It's actually just so bad, though. Like... Whee! Okay. The way money moves is concerning, but so is the AI industry's underlying business model. Yay! No, I really am gonna do, like I said before, just like the screenshot of me like this, and then just like fucking apocalyptic imagery, just like this is fine. That's going to be the thumbnail for this. VOD viewers already know this because they already clicked on it. They clicked on it to get here. Good lord. A lot of people are going to die. I'm like, a lot of this is definitely like laughing because like I am having a nervous reaction. Like I'm not finding this like, I think sometimes people take me as having like a bit of a dark sense of humor because I'll end up laughing when I'm talking about how apocalyptically bad some things are going to be. It's genuinely like nervous laughter a lot of the time. This is going to be really fucking bad. Like this is going to be unbelievable. Like, this is going to be shockingly dire. Oh Christ. And the solution is to organize. In case I wasn't clear enough on that in like all of my work generally, but the solution to that is to organize. We have to build harm reduction structures. We have to organize our communities right away. We have to get together and feed each other. That's just the most basic. We have to just get food in mouths. Sophie is in the Apollo dodgeball meme, but instead of prophecy, it's basic analysis. Can you send me the meme? I think I know the one that you're talking about, but I'm not quite getting the joke. Okay. At every layer, the technology appears to decrease the value of its assets. At every layer, the technology appears to decrease the value of its assets. The advanced AI chips that make up the majority of the cost of a data center, their value rapidly decreases as they are superseded by the next generation of chips, meaning that the ultimate backstop for all of the data center debt, selling the data center itself, is not actually a backstop. Oh, good. Yay. The way AI companies make money when people use their products is also deflationary. OpenAI, Anthropic, and others charge users for using tokens, the components of words processed by their bots. This means that tokens are an industrial commodity akin to, say, crude oil or steel, but unlike other commodities, the cost of each token is rapidly decreasing owing to advancements in AI's capabilities. Kudrowski calls this a death spiral to zero, as the value of a... What, just call it a race to the bottom like everyone else for the whole of history. What are you doing? As the value of a token plummets, the value of what data centers can produce also falls. The war in Iran affects data center finances as well. Should energy prices continue to skyrocket, so will the cost of this already very expensive computing equipment, because it needs tremendous amounts of energy to manufacture and operate. And the war has exposed physical risks to these buildings. Janet Egan, a senior fellow at the Center for New American Security, described data centers to us as large, juicy targets. Jesus Christ. It's impossible to hide these facilities, which can cover 1 million square feet. Earlier this month, Iran bombed Amazon data centers in the UAE and Bahrain. American hyperscalers had been planning to build far more data centers in the region because the Trump administration and the AI industry have sought funding from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Oman. Now there's a two-way strain on those relationships. The physical security of the data centers is more precarious, and the conflict is damaging the economic health of the petrostates, thereby jeopardizing a major source of further investment in American AI firms. The Trump administration, quote, staked a lot on the Gulf as their close AI partner, and now the war that they've launched poses a huge threat to the viability of the Gulf as that AI partner, Winter Levy said. Plus, quote, what's to prevent Iran or a proxy group or another maligned actor from tomorrow launching an armed drone against a data center in Northern Virginia? Chip Usher? Chip Usher said? What? What? Chip Usher? What Chip? I think I might actually be losing my mind. Like, this is what? Fucking Chip Usher? The guy who's worried about the data centers is called Chip Usher. I want to, like, sorry. There is something relatively serious here to say about the infrastructure and how precarious it is. Because, like, I remember seeing something a bit ago, and I wonder if I can find it. I'm just going to scroll through here and see if I can find it now. But, like, seeing something a bit ago about the energy infrastructure in place to make data centers possible across America. And there's like one very, very, very important high voltage direct current line that is going through like very close to Silicon Valley that is basically like the only feed for the largest like probably the largest AI related data center stuff just in the entire country. And like it's putting the entire country's energy in a position, or like infrastructure in a position where like one single line that stretches from like all the way from Washington State, where like energy is generally cheaper, like down through this data center down into like California. Yeah, there's just like all that infrastructure is on one single line. Like, yeah, if someone were trying to attack American infrastructure, like it's probably never been easier. Did Hideo Kojima write this? Nominal determinism is a hell of a drug. That's all we can say. Okay, we're nearly at the end of this article. We're going to do one other article after this. I was going to watch some Ezra Klein when my plan for the stream had an extra hour in it. It's not happening tonight, I'm afraid. So we're going to get through the rest of this one, and then we're going to read one more, and then we're going to wrap up, and I'm going to get tucked into bed, cozy, comfy, and I would really like to have hit the dono goal by then, if possible. And I think it's very possible, because we're only £60 away, and we have 43 viewers right now. So if you all just went !TIP, and then donated £2, which I'm sure everybody has, then we get to the goal. And then we'd have 3 bonus gaming streams next month, which basically we'll just be playing Resi all month, which is pretty fun. So consider it if you can, because small donos still mean a lot. All right, let's press on. Let's get back to Chip Usher. I couldn't find the map I was looking for of it. America's. I wonder if I can just search America energy infrastructure map and get it. If I can. Oh, this is one of like everywhere. This is like, okay. Okay. So, one thing broadly that I learned in looking at this stuff before is that, so you can see a bit of it, there are really noticeable gaps around Texas, because Texas is on its own energy board, which like is part of why Musk likes being there so much, because of the insulation of that. I think this might be the line, or maybe this line is being... Can I get any detail on this line? This line is just a line. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah, that's the HVDC line I was talking about, I think. So it goes in near Reno? I'm not totally sure. This is still quite useful. Whether this is the one or not, around about here there is this one massive line, and then like where the data centers are, one of the largest collection of data centers is, I just realized this was off the edge of my screen, one of the largest collection of data centers is just right here, which I assume is it being like, I assume what's happening there is that it's like real estate that is only just in Nevada and therefore is a lot cheaper than it being in California, but it's as close as possible to Sacramento, right? Like, I figure that's the... Lilith, thank you so much for donating £2. I really, really appreciate that. Everyone should follow Lilith and Valerie Valkyrie's example and just do... Oh my goodness, wow. Just as I was saying this, Shirara comes in with a £11 donation, says, number go up, but in a not evil way. Thank you very much, Shirara. I really appreciate that. Yeah, just like genuinely the America's energy infrastructure is like terrifyingly precarious. Pardon me. So Chip Usher, who is actually Senior Director for Intelligence at the Special Competitive Studies Project, that sounds evil as fuck, and National Security, and it's an AI think tank, there you go, that's exactly it. It could happen. Our defenses are not adequate. Cool! Yay! Fuck. State-sponsored cyber attacks of the variety Iran is known for could also knock a data center offline. Yeah, I mean, I want to highlight again, sorry, I just closed it, but I'll reopen it again for 1 second. The thing about this is, this, like, this backing up of, like, Californian, primarily, energy, with energy from Washington and from Canada, is that, like, in the Pacific Northwest, energy is significantly cheaper, and so basically pumping a ton of electricity down from the more northern states is making it so that in the place where there is just about the highest risk of wildfires in the whole US, people are able to run various different things, including AC. Story Girl says, "Hi Sophie, drop close to a tenner in your PayPal. Consider that contributed to the goal." Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you. What was I saying? And a thing about... So, firstly, like, if this line were in any way damaged, the rest of the grid across the west coast would not only have less power to power things that are used to prevent fires and keep temperatures down, but also the whole resistance of the grid would go up. Like, more power would be moving through cables that are not usually like required. The rest would be overstrained, which would increase the likelihood of fires. Like, damage to this cable would probably like cause just like it would be very bad. Anyway. I'm going to close Ezra because we're actually just not getting around to Ezra today. It could happen. I have to agree with Chip Usher on this. It could happen. Will it happen? I don't know about this. Like, oh, Iran is super known for their cyber attacks or whatever. All this stuff. They do love the idea that Iran is the biggest exporter of terrorism in the world. They love saying it because America is, and they want to deflect it onto someone else. You can build all manner of defenses, reinforced concrete, drone interception systems, but doing so adds cost and time to already costly and slow construction. Just a few things going a bit wrong could compound all at once into a cataclysm. To wit, Qatari and Saudi money dries up. Sustained high oil and natural gas prices drive up the costs of manufacturing chips and running data centers. Already cash-strapped hyperscalers struggle to make lease payments on their data centers, while similarly strained private lenders suffer as all of the AI bonds become dead weight. Tech valuations fall, taking public markets with them. Private equity firms have to sell and torch their assets, putting intense strain on the institutional investors and banks. The rest of the economy, drained of investment because everything was poured into data centers for years, is already weak. Unemployment goes up, as do interest rates. Bubbles pop. That's the system, Lipton said. What isn't supposed to happen is that it takes down the whole financial system. But the concern here is that AI investment isn't confined and may spread to the whole economy. Even if Iran and the Strait of Hormuz don't directly trigger an AI-driven financial crisis, the odds are decent that another vector could. Remember tariffs? Energy prices could stay elevated for years because the targeted fossil fuel facilities in the Persian Gulf will take a long time to restore. As the US directs huge amounts of attention and military resources toward Iran, it's easy to imagine China launching an invasion of Taiwan. It's easy to imagine China launching an invasion of Taiwan if you're the Atlantic. Like, this is like... This one honestly bugs me more than the Iran thing, because, like... It would be quite sensible for Iran to make nuclear weapons, considering how hostile the largest nuclear power is towards them. Like, considering how hostile the West is towards Iran, and, like, how effective having nuclear weapons has been at making everyone leave, like, North Korea alone. Iran having nuclear weapons is, like, pretty, like, you know, with a very cynical head on, it's like actually quite a sensible thing for them to do. Starlight System 413, thank you so much for subscribing. China invading Taiwan is just like, why? Like, why? China's like, China doesn't need that. They just don't need it, is the thing. Like, there's just not, like, I don't know. Whatever. Like, I'm I don't know the souls or minds of the CCP of Xi Jinping. If they suddenly invaded Taiwan, I don't want to be like eating my words over this, but it just like is like, to me, seems like such a bizarre fantasy. A scenario that terrifies Silicon Valley because it would halt the production of chips needed to train frontier models. The thing is, like, if China wanted to halt the production of those chips, it could do it without invading another country, which, like, you know, China has said they want to, like, respect, you know, national sovereignty as the number one, like, that they want to just, like, completely, their foreign policy must always respect other countries' sovereignty, which, like, you know, is taking a state at its word, which as an anarchist I don't really want to do. But, like, if they did want to, I guess the imagined scenario is one in which China wants Taiwan just because it views Taiwan as being like part of China. But like, if that were justification enough for China to do it, they probably would have done it already, because literally the majority of people in Taiwan who aren't like TSMC executives support being part of Taiwan being part of China when polled. Whatever. But if China wanted to stop the production of those chips or cause that kind of economic like harm to Silicon Valley, they could already, because they like control the majority of the flow of processing of rare earth minerals and of computer parts in the entire world. That's not even considering the single Dutch company that makes the high-tech lithography machines used to print virtually all AI chips, or the German company that makes the mirrors used in those machines. There are too many ways for it to fail, for it to not fail, Kudrowski said of the AI industry's web of risk. All you can say for the future is this is a fragile and overdetermined system that must break, so it will. There are, of course, possibilities other than a full-blown AI-driven financial crisis. Data center spending could cool gradually enough that a crash is avoided. Yeah, I mean, it could, yeah. If there wasn't also, like, a war and... Fucking hell. The revenues of Anthropic and OpenAI have been multiplying every year, which proponents argue means that generative AI products are on track to eventually become profitable. But on the current trajectory, that would still take years, and there are good reasons to think that this growth will slow or halt. Notably, the main draw of AI tools is efficiency. Rather than growing their overall output and the opportunities available to people, executives are hoping the AI will allow them to make cuts to their business operations. The medium-term success of generative AI would likely involve millions of people being put out of work. The range of options seems to be somewhere from mildly bad to historically so. Again, that's in line with the Curtis Yarvin plan. Should the system break, much of the blame would lie squarely with the technology companies. The stakes of this build-out from the beginning have been framed in civilizational terms, a geopolitical race alongside an existential one. The winners will control the future and reap the rewards. At every step of the way, AI firms have appeared to prioritize speed above the physical security of data centers, supply chain redundancy, energy efficiency and independence, political stability, and even financial returns. And in that quest for unbridled growth, the AI industry has wrested ungodly amounts of capital from investors all looking for the next big thing, ensnaring the entire economy. Hang on, let me reread this a little bit. The stakes of this build-out from the beginning have been framed in civilizational terms. This is a genuinely, like, criminal use of the passive voice. Like, this is a spiritually Israeli use of the passive voice here. It's the Atlantic who's been framing it this way. Like, the Atlantic, the New York Times, like, just saying it has been framed in these terms. Like, you're on the marketing team. Storygirl says, as long as Taiwan doesn't explicitly secede from China and pays its tithes, there's no real reason to invade. Most of their military flexes at Taiwan have lined up with belligerent statements from the USA. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it is primarily, like, all of their military stuff has been to do with America far more than to do with Taiwan. But Taiwan is, like, a separate nation. But yeah, sorry, no, I'm agreeing with you anyway. Where are we? Ensnaring the entire economy. Final paragraph. Simultaneously, these firms have courted and even bent the knee to a presidential administration that has encouraged their let-it-rip ethos, only to watch as that same administration has plunged the industry into this emerging polycrisis. The AI industry was not made for the turbulence its leaders have helped usher in. The situation has grown so ungainly and untenable that, if Silicon Valley is merely forced to slow down, the viability of all this spending will likely be called into question in ways that could be devastating for many. In finance, being early is the same as being wrong. AI firms want the world to think they're right on time. The world may have other plans. Okay, so quite a few things happened at once in the last paragraph. I need to pick over this a little bit. The The firms have courted and bent the knee to Trump 2. No, there have been an instrumental part of what's going on in Trump 2. This is a bizarre way to say this. Trump 2 has plunged the industry into an emerging polycrisis. No. No, the term polycrisis has deliberately been used to refer to a bigger overlapping set of crises, including climate change, which is like at least as old as industrial capitalism. And if you wanted to put the shortest range on the climate collapse crisis, it's the last 30 years. The reemergence of fascism, the attached misinformation crisis in social media, like these are all before the genocide and then the war. Like oh God. This part of this whole first sentence, just like Charlie Warzel and Matteo Wong are living in a very strange reality. The AI industry was not made for the turbulence its leaders have helped usher in. Again, as I said, I had this kind of interpretation at the start. The take being like the AI is a good idea. The AI boom is a good idea, but the timing just wasn't right. The conditions just weren't so right for it right this time around. This was the wrong timeline, or if this thing or that thing had been different, it would have been okay. But like, on the face of it, yes, it's a true statement to say the AI industry was not made for the turbulence its leaders have helped usher in. But also, like, it would be helpful if their analysis could just take the extra step here and look at, like, what does it mean that our ruling class, like, create problems that don't, like, cancel each other out. That would be lovely. It would be fantastic if they canceled each other out. What a wonderful world that would be. But, like, just imagine. But instead, like, that they overlap and, like, explode each other into a bunch of other cascading problems because they like, the cancelling out is in terms of their goals, right? Like, their goals of a world that is totally dominated by them and is in, like, oblique law and order at all times, and, like, a sort of Pax Americana eternal. And then and then, like, again, this final paragraph just keeps giving. The last two sentences: in finance, being early is the same as being wrong. That might need some more unpacking, rather than just being dropped there. And then AI firms want the world to think they're right on time. The world may have other plans. They're not early. I mean, they're early in the sense that, like, the technology just isn't actually there and everyone's been scammed. Like, that's one way you could say that they're, like, early, I guess. But, like, they're not early. Their product has been pushed onto everyone as a technology of control of everyone's lives. Anyway, chat. What's your thoughts? Let me know. What did you think of the article? What do you think it's doing? I know I've already kind of given my take very thoroughly in this one. What stood out to you? And, of course, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using Command Tip. It's now been 3.5 hours of stream with one article left to go. And if we hit 480 by the end of the stream, which is just about 40 quid away, then we'll have 3 gaming streams next month. Middle-earth Marxist says, The Atlantic. It appears a Nazism has suddenly appeared from nowhere. Valerie the Lovely Italian says, passive voice should be punishable by 1,000 years in the pit. It is pretty sickening stuff. Like, I hope that in liberal slop streams I get across to people that there are, like, a variety of generally often quite subtle and insidious methods that like liberal media uses to reinforce liberal ideology and like slip stuff by the reader. But the passive voice is like one of the more like obvious and dumb ones, and it's very frustrating that it's just so like uh see. Sorry, chat. I've gotten entirely sidetracked because two dog girls sent me the same Tumblr post at the same time. Where were we? Morrigan the Face says, the scam economy has reached the point where companies are now scamming each other using AI. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, like, gullibility seems to be a really crucial element in all of in the underpinnings of the AI like industry at all. I think that like I remember in 2023, unfortunately it was when I was like quite unwell, so I tried to like, there are some parts of like theory I've backed off from a little bit because I think I had a bit of an unhealthy fixation on them. But like one thing I was very interested in 2023 was like the way that Trump's lies work, the way that Trump like socially and verbally programs his audience and his followers to act like him, because he shows them a model of someone who is like exploitatively, manipulatively, abusively, I guess, like lying to people, but just like the thing I was saying a lot of the time when I was thinking about this last was like, if we were trying to really define lying, it's not just like not telling the truth or like deliberately not telling the truth, but rather like you're trying, one party is trying to get the other party to act like the one speaking believes the thing they're saying, right? It doesn't matter if the other party actually believes it. And it doesn't, to some degree, matter even if they believe you believe it. It matters that they treat you like you believe it. And that's the thing that Trump, I think, gets away with enormously, is that he says stuff that's like outrageous in how obvious it is that he doesn't believe the thing. And seeing like a whole industry, or to some degree with the stock market right now, like a whole economy just like engage in shared fiction, like sharing a delusion together. Yeah, it's a fascinating thing. Like the stock, like the stock market, and or to put like the clearest financial index on it, the price of Brent crude, the price of 1 barrel of Brent crude oil during the Iran war so far has been a really like morbidly fascinating measure of like an economic psychological relation going on in the world, right? Because like there was the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and there was this like psychological price point they were describing it as, like the psychological price point, the highest point it's hit so far, when it just shot right up because of the beginning of the war. And then like it settled back down, but still to much higher than it had been. But that initial shock had been very much to do with people's feelings and expectations and people panicking, rather than to do with like the material relations in the market. And then there have been like several points so far where media and like psychology have played a really obvious and like incredibly rapid thank you for telling me that, Princess Beck Knight 666. That's very cute. I'm gonna start petting the camera again. yeah, there have been a couple of times where like that index, the price of Brent crude, has had like a really rapid, like to the second, or like in a matter of minutes, like effect that's really measurable. Oh fuck, it's nearly midnight already. Chat, I should really wrap up the stream soon. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I would really, really, really appreciate people donating. It's the last stream of the month, and it'll be really wonderful to hit the goal if we possibly can tonight. And remember that even little small donos make a difference. And if everyone donated £1 or £2 right now, we would get there. What was I saying? Times when it's like very immediately affected it. Like, what was the one before? They claimed to have gotten a ship through the Strait of Hormuz, and like I think that was the claim they made. They claimed to have gotten a ship through the Strait of Hormuz, and the price started going down. And then they were called out on it, and they had to say, no, sorry, that was a lie. And the price went higher than it was before. Right? And that's like a fascinating demonstration of this, like, you know, shared fiction nature of like the stock market and what Marx called fictitious capital. And I think with AI, yeah, that's just like shared fiction has gotten AI to like where it is so far. Okay. I'm going to read one more Atlantic article. It's probably going to be quite frustrating. We're now going past midnight. I'm going to try and wrap up as soon as possible. So please get your donos in, subscriptions, cheered bits if you have bits, I guess. But I want to get through this quickly and then wrap up because, you know, we started late, but I don't want to be up super, super late. Okay. We are going to read. Here it is. The surprising reason for the new homophobia. This just like really strongly caught my eye because I mean, firstly, like, it's just dumb, right? Like, this is just a dumb thing to be saying, the surprising reason for the new homophobia. We live in an age of, like, resurgent reactionary sentiments in society and fascism. It's just yeah, like, we know what's going on here. And also, like, The Atlantic has helped to normalize transphobia, and now you're gonna, like, poll clutch over homophobia being on the rise. What the fuck, man? Story Girl, thank you for the 29 bits. But I was also just struck by this specifically, this cover image they've made for it, which is like a pretty boy in a hand mirror, right? Like a little kissy mouth in a little mirror to communicate quickly to us visually a gay man. And I was really struck by this part from Ways of Seeing by John Berger about women in naked women in oil paintings looking in mirrors. The mirror was often used as a symbol of the vanity of woman. The moralizing, however, was mostly hypocritical. You painted a naked woman because you enjoyed looking at her. You put a mirror in her hand, and you called the painting vanity, thus morally condemning the woman whose nakedness you had depicted for your own pleasure. The real function of the mirror was otherwise. It was to make the woman connive in treating herself as, first and foremost, a sight. And I think this is like, it just that passage, I immediately was like, I've got to get that up for the stream, because like, in talking about the new homophobia, the Atlantic thumbnail artists for their articles has just gone, yeah, I'll just, you know, what are gay men are just kind of women, right? Right, like gay men are just kind of like vain women, right? Just really irritating. Subtitle: Americans are burned out, frustrated, and hunting for scapegoats. Is that supposed to be the surprising reason? Here we go. Long ago, the bright-eyed Disney Channel star Shia LaBeouf entered adulthood and set about to become a great man. He studied method acting. He worked with edgy directors. He groaned and screamed like Al Pacino. But those ambitious days are now a distant memory. LaBeouf hasn't anchored a box office hit in more than a decade, and little of his 2020s art house work has drawn buzz. The most notable thing he's starred in lately was a clip of him on a podcaster's couch, hunched and diminished, talking about his fear of gay people. I heard a little bit about this. It just sounds like he's just quite mentally unwell. I'm sure he said bad stuff, but it just seems like I just heard people discussing it as like it was very obvious he was just not doing good. So I'm not sure he's like the most useful example to look at for someone who's like representative of anti-queer sentiments in society right now. In the same way as like Kanye, right? Like, if we're going to talk about, like, white supremacy, like, talking about Kanye is an interesting thing to discuss, but it's not, like, the representative example, right? LaBeouf recently spent a night in jail after getting a series of bar fights in New Orleans. Videos and images of what looked like a belligerent bender spread across the internet, and police reports allege he threw around the F word, which I'm apparently not allowed to say on Twitch, it's very frustrating, during his arrest. Big gay people are scary to me, LaBeouf said, addressing the incident in an interview with the YouTuber Andrew Callahan that was posted in late February. When I'm like standing by myself and 3 gay dudes are next to me touching my leg, I get scared. Callahan asked for details, and LaBeouf physically crumpled, trying to stop himself from saying more. But soon he brought up gay people again, then again. He summed up his feelings by paraphrasing what the Bible says about homosexuality. Nah. Amid whatever wave of the anti-woke backlash we're living through, I'm aware it's a bit boring to object as a gay person to offensive things said by celebrities. And offended isn't really what I felt watching LaBeouf speak. Pity, sure, he's been arrested many times before, and he doesn't seem to be doing great, all in all. What really caught my attention, and this may sound catty but it's relevant, was how LaBeouf looked and acted. He sported a tight fade and tugged at his teensy shorts. He was sharing his feelings. He mumbled about the menace of homosexuals. He was, to my eyes, behaving in ways that would have gotten many gay guys his age bullied in high school. Mostly, though, his interview communicated a sense of muffled, oncoming alarm. Americans are burned out, frustrated, and hunting for scapegoats. And here was another sign of gathering resentment toward queer people, of a new wave of homophobia rooted, in part, in the strange state of straight men. Homophobia, of course, never went away, but not long ago, it seemed like it might. Implicit and explicit bias against gay people fell steadily from 2007 to 2020 and was on track to soon hit 0, according to a 2022 study by the psychologists Tessa E.S. Charlesworth and Mazarin R. Banaji. Buddy, you're writing in the Atlantic. Like, maybe I need to click through on the author, but this is a cis gay man, right? Yes, this is a white cis gay man called Spencer. Like, buddy, you're writing in the Atlantic. Like, the issue is that the issue is that other parts of the queer community have been happily thrown under the bus by people like you, and oh shit, the backlash hits me as well? Oh no, the leopards are eating my face. Like, come on, bud. This accorded with the ambient feeling of late 2010s culture when Lil Nas X was the pink-hatted Prince of Pop and Budweiser was striping its cans in rainbow colors without fear of a bullet from Kid Rock. But something changed in the early 2020s. Pollsters began noting diminishing approval for LGBT legal protections as trans issues became inescapable in polarized national politics. Explicit anti-trans bias spiked 16% from 2021 to 2024, according to Charlesworth Banaji and the researcher Marielle Doyle. Less intuitively, the trend line of long-declining homophobia reversed. But they're just not unrelated. Like, this is... You just have a rock for a brain. Like, you just have, like, someone swapped out your brain with just like a clump of fucking like horse shit. Like, this is so stupid to just like trans issues became really contentious, and that's no one's fault in particular. But out of nowhere, more homophobia started happening. Honestly, like, white cis gay men, holy shit, the obliviousness to like the level of privilege and power that they have in the world. And also just like, God, oh my goodness, wow, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much to Storygirl for gifting 10 tier 1 subs to Avalon, Beanie Gaby, Wax Mages, Maris567, Aprilologist, that's a great username, Valerie Valkyrie, The Ferret King, another great username there, Ava Fangs, Andre235, and Asanov Anil. Thank you so much to Storygirl. I really, really appreciate that. All of you now have tier 1 subs to Sophie from Mars, and you can now use Sophie from Mars emotes like some of the... Oh, it's in the wrong place again. I can't believe I keep doing this. Like this. And, whoop. And thank you again to Storygirl. I really, really appreciate that. Okay, cool. Where were we? Willow Treason says, really shitty framing. Infinity articles every day telling you all to hate us is why that happened. Not because, for whatever reason, it was no longer possible to ignore us. Fuck off. Yeah, no, it's really, really, really frustrating. Like, as a trans woman living through this stuff... Yes, you are back. As a trans woman living through this stuff, like, hitting a point with the British media where where there were 1,000 articles a day in the mainstream about trans people. 1,000 articles a month. About trans people. At the peak of it, like, that's so obscene. And like the amount that like mainstream media. Think about how normal it is for the mainstream media to like talk about trans people's genitals. Like, I've had it a few times, like literally personally about me. But like, think about how often, like, and how casually, like, cis people with no trans people present will talk about trans people's genitals as like a very urgent topic that requires like serious discussion because it's really, really important for the safety of like women and children in society or whatever. And it's just like you've normalized such a hideous dehumanization of people like me. Like, and here you are writing in the Atlantic, I guess, you know, there you go, Spencer. We're all looking for the guy who did this, Spencer. Fuck's sake. The past few months in politics have made this turn obvious. Prominent right-wing voices who justified the killing of protester Renee Good described her as a lesbian agitator and a rug-munching leftist. As though her sexuality might have any bearing on whether she deserved to die. I mean, I would go as far as to say, like, I think that Jonathan Ross, the guy who shot her, I think that was it. I like... Apparently his wife left him for another woman, and Renee Good and her wife were in the front of the car. I don't think it affected how much she deserved to die, obviously. I do think it was probably, like... The White House advertised car deregulation with a video that mocked two blue-haired, queer-seeming people pathetically stalled in a Prius. Commentators have taken to treating gay and its synonyms as an insult. Conservative groups launched a campaign to roll back marriage rights with the name greater than, as in the well-being of kids is more important than equality. But if you're not going to talk about the fascism... Okay, it's talking about Fuentes and Andrew Tate, I guess. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Again, it's past midnight now, and I want to be in bed relatively soon. He's talking about clavicular... I mean, it's good to be looking at the issues of, like, male culture and, like, what's happened with, like, the normalization of incel rhetoric. But you know what? Searching trans. Trans folks, long the subject of sustained conservative criticism, continue losing not only public acceptance but legal rights. Okay, he's saying it, that's good. Although transphobia overlaps with homophobia, Charlesworth and Finkel argue that trans backlash is not the primary reason for rising anti-gay sentiment. Okay, tell us how much danger you're in. You're in specifically, and it's not just a generalized thing that's spilling over. Okay. Instead, they suggest that one factor explains the rise in all kinds of identity-based biases, the same blend of economic anxiety and anti-establishment sentiment that's driving so much of American politics. They write, gay and lesbian people, newly woven into the fabric of mainstream society, may have been collateral damage in a broader revolt against a system that felt broken. How does that not just ultimately add up to basically the exact same stuff? I'm sorry. It's just like... Okay. Oh shit, he's talking about the transgender pay gap. Okay. Okay, chat, I think what I'm going to do, actually, is this one may have been slightly better than I was giving it credit for, even if it's, like, broadly quite aggravating. I'm going to finish this article on the start of next stream before I get to the other stuff, because I don't want to be streaming past midnight, and it's already past midnight. I don't know if you can hear my voice is going a bit as well. Thank you so much for all being here. It's been really nice to hang out, and I'll see you next week on Saturday instead of Friday, because I have to go to a film screening on Friday with this org I'm part of. In the meantime, what's going on? Red Planet. Get over to Red Planet Live, twitch.tv/redplanetlive, on Sunday at 9 p.m. UK time, I think. There's a time zone change thing, so watch out on my Blue Sky if you want to see. And we're gonna raid into Ray K, who was a recent guest on Red Planet. We'll raid Ray K. Is that done it? I can't do it there. I did the thing yet again. Haha! Everything's going wrong today. Whee! Okay. Yes, it's worked. Okay, cool. Good. Everyone make your favorite animal noises. We're going to jump into Ray K's chat. VOD viewers, check out the link down below to support me. Everybody else, linktree.ee/Sophie from Mars is where you can support me. Now everybody do your favorite animal noises. And we're gonna raid into Ray K's now. So be nice to Ray and say hi from me, and everybody have a wonderful night. Meow 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 meow.